Before graduation, the boy was pushed off a 100-meter-high rooftop by a school bully. He didn't die, but became a vegetable, lying in a hospital bed for 10 years. During those 10 years, he could clearly sense everything around him, but he could never wake his sleeping body. His grandmother, waiting for him to awaken, cared for him meticulously day after day for 10 years, working 4 jobs a day to raise money for his medical expenses. However, this hard work was treated as daily amusement by the doctors and nurses. His only younger brother also became a target of bullying. Feeling the deep malice of the world and the hardships his family had endured, he suffered immense pain and torment. But now, he couldn't even shed a single tear. Thinking of the classmates and teachers who had made him this way, if a miracle of going back in time truly existed, he would destroy them all one by one. The world has kissed me with pain, so why should I repay it with song? He began to sketch out every step of his revenge plan in his mind, his hatred for them, even his plans for 10 years from now. But even so, it was just a fantasy in his mind. Just when he thought his life would end in regret, he opened his eyes again and heard the familiar noise of recess. The sound was both familiar and strange. He pinched his face, trying to convince himself it was a dream, but a long-forgotten pain shot through his body. He grabbed a pen from the table and plunged it into his thigh. The intense pain instantly snapped him back to reality. This wasn't a dream. He had truly returned to that time. Just then, he heard cries for help. Park Myung-chul was beating up a classmate. Kim Hyun-sung would never forget this scene. It was the beginning of all his past suffering. Faced with this bullying, no one dared to intervene, but Kim Hyun-sung, just like before, once again stepped forward. Park Myung-chul thought he had misheard. Do you know the consequences of doing this? If you think you're different from him, then you're wrong. Before Park Myung-chul could continue insulting him, Kim Hyun-sung punched him without saying a word. He had already fantasized about this countless times in his mind, and now his dream had finally come true. Park Myung-chul was a notorious school bully. He not only bullied his classmates but also forced others to help him grind games. Lee Young-myung, who was being bullied, couldn't take it anymore and said something to him. Then came the scene of him being brutally beaten. That day, Kim Hyun-sung witnessed real violence for the first time. He didn't want to interfere at first, but when he thought of the scene of Lee Young-myung kindly answering his questions, he ultimately, unable to stand idly by, his classmates tried their best to persuade him not to meddle, but Kim Hyun-sung usually excelled in sports and few could beat him in jokes, so he wasn't afraid of this so-called school bully. Although a conflict didn't immediately erupt because of the teacher's arrival, from then on, Park Myung-chul's clique targeted him. Kim Hyun-sung was dragged out by a group of people every day, beaten black and blue, and forced to do game boosting after school. His life had completely descended into endless hell. At this moment, his classmates were shocked. No one had ever dared to lay a hand on the school bully before. Park Myung-chul was about to get angry when he was grabbed by the hair and his face was slammed hard onto the table. Park Myung-chul's legs trembled with pain. No one had expected that the usually cheerful class monitor would have such a violent side. Kim Hyun-sung didn't stop, because Park Myung-chul's fighting style relied on his physical advantage to overwhelm his opponent. Once he subdued him first, Park Myung-chul would be left only to be beaten. At this moment, Park Myung-chul was completely bewildered. He clearly remembered that he had never bullied Kim Hyun-sung. So why was this guy so vicious? As if they had a deep-seated hatred? Kim Hyun-sung had been waiting for this moment for 10 whole years. He was now completely insane. Suddenly, a chair flew over and forcibly interrupted him. Turned out that Park Myung-chul's clique. "Here you go, you little brat. Stop right now," Kim Hyun-sung said, tilting his head. "What if I say no?" Young Myung-go was surprised that this guy wasn't afraid at all. Did he have some powerful backer? Meanwhile, the muscular man next to him made the first move. "Today I'll show you what rules are." This man was Kang Chang-hee, the strongest in the group. Even Kim Hyun-sung wasn't confident he could beat him. Just then, someone shouted, "The teacher's coming." The small group had no choice but to leave temporarily. Kong Chong, he made a threat, I'll come find you right after class. Don't even think about running away. We won't let you down. During class, Park Myung-cheol was deep in thought. I only remembered. First, he slapped me. Why was I rubbing myself against the ground like crazy later? It must be because I underestimated him. That's why I got beaten up by this model student. After class, I'll beat you half to death. As the bell rang, Park Myung-cheol jumped up from his seat. The next second, a dark shadow flashed past him, and he was kicked flying. Park Myung-cheol's brain went blank. What happened? Kim Hyun-sung said fiercely, we still have something to settle, don't we? Park Myung-cheol couldn't believe that this guy not only didn't run away, but actually wanted to fight them. At this moment, Young Mi-ho and Kang Chang-hee's group rushed over menacingly. When they saw Park Myung-cheol's class surrounded by classmates, they immediately realized something was wrong. When they arrived at the door, they were met with Kim Hyun-sung, his face covered in blood. He provocatively said to everyone, sorry, you're too late. Enraged, Kang Chang-hee instantly charged forward. For Park Myung-cheol, this guy was the most troublesome one. A direct fight was definitely no match for him. But dealing with him was simple, use methods he would never use before. In this life, Kim Hyun-sung had completely turned to the dark side. To complete his revenge plan, he wouldn't care about anything else. No matter what despicable means he used, no matter how strong Jang Changshi was. Once I attacked his vitals a few times, he wouldn't last long. The two men beside him swallowed hard in fear. Jin Xianxing threw away the iron chain in his hand, turned around, and locked onto Zhao Rongtai. Like a mad bull, he charged at him and then pinned him to the ground. Zhao Rongtai didn't even have time to react before being overwhelmed by Jin Xianxing's storm of punches. Although Zhang Minheo might join the fight from behind, he didn't care at all. Only by eliminating them one by one could he avoid being outnumbered. Faced with a disadvantage, the best way to deal with it was to strike. At this moment, Jin Xianxing was like a demon. Zhao Longtai had already been beaten beyond recognition, but he found that his stamina seemed to be failing him. However, he couldn't stop now, he had to finish off the last guy. Zhang Mingho was so scared that he lost control of his bladder and bowels. Wasn't he just an ordinary person who hadn't been targeted by them? He definitely wasn't this strong before. How could he be like a monster returned from hell? Jin Xianxing only said, we haven't settled our score yet, and Zhang Mingho's hands began to tremble uncontrollably. He thought he would also be beaten to the point of being unable to take care of himself. Fortunately, he was so big, the commotion attracted the homeroom teacher. Zhang Minheo was secretly pleased. He had already injured 3 people. From the school's perspective, this was no small matter. You're finished, brat. What awaited Jin Xianxing was, of course, a severe reprimand from the homeroom teacher. To avoid being implicated, the teacher planned to shift all the blame onto him. However, to the teacher's surprise, Jin Xianxing said in a very casual tone, you don't need to make such a fuss. It's not the first time I've dealt with violence. Aren't you good at handling these kinds of problems? Just handle it like usual this time. You smooth things over for me. Don't make a big deal out of it. The homeroom teacher immediately slapped him. He slapped her across the face, while the other teachers all pretended not to see anything. However, their reactions were exactly what Kim Hyun-sung had expected. His tragic ending in his previous life, besides being caused by the school bully, was also due to these despicable and shameless adults who turned a blind eye, especially the homeroom teacher, who had done countless disgusting things in secret. Kim Hyun-sung threatened in a low voice, if you keep causing trouble, I'll have no choice but to reveal your bribery. As far as I know, you frequently contact Young Mi-ho's mother. Besides, you also have an unspeakable secret with the foreign language teacher. So you'd better be honest with me, you hypocrite. After his secrets were exposed, the head teacher panicked. Kim Hyun-sung said, you'd better think before you talk to me. You receive money from Young Mi-ho's parents every month, and you have an inappropriate relationship with the English teacher who has a child. Besides that, there are other scandals. Do you want me to continue? If everything is exposed, you probably won't be able to work as a teacher anymore. Don't think you can just brush it off with "it's all a rumor." Otherwise, I'd rather drop out of school than let your life be completely ruined. The homeroom teacher finally gave in. What do you want me to do? Kim Hyun-sung said. Simple. Just turn a blind eye as before. However, you've changed your target to me. If you can suppress what happened today, I promise you I will never use your secret to blackmail you again until graduation. Do you understand what I mean? The homeroom teacher has been successfully subdued by Mr. Kim, but he's just the first card in the plan. We must prepare the next trump card as soon as possible. But before that, there's another matter that needs to be resolved. Right now, Young Mi-ho is throwing a tantrum in the classroom. He was indeed scared to death by Kim Hyun-sung's aura. However, no one should have noticed. He needs to solidify his position in the school. He can't let it plummet because of that brat Kim Hyun-sung. After venting his anger, then, he began to think. Kim Hyun-sung defeating 3 people single-handedly was definitely a coincidence. If it were a unknown fight, he could easily take him down. As if Kim Hyun-sung had heard his thoughts, he said, "Something urgent happened at the door. We still have things to settle." Young Mi-ho instantly broke out in a cold sweat, and then threw a punch, sending him and his chair flying. The previously ferocious Young Mi-ho was now a lamb to the slaughter. Kim Hyun-sung rushed forward and kicked him in the chin. Blood mixed with saliva gushed out. Young Mi-ho began to scream for help. "This guy is a madman. Help me." Suddenly, the homeroom teacher appeared. Young Mi-ho thought he had grasped a lifeline, but Young Mi-ho turned his head away. "I advise you not to expect anyone to help you," Kim Hyun-sung thought. "No one in this school will stand up for you." After beating Young Mi-ho, Kim Hyun-sung suddenly felt a deep sense of loss. Someone who had bullied him for 3 years was trembling after just a few slaps, reflecting how cowardly he had been back then. The surrounding classmates were too scared to breathe. In their eyes, Kim Hyun-sung's life was over. The principal had always wanted to make this school a prestigious institution. Therefore, he had to cultivate relationships with the powerful and influential students' families. To maintain their relationship, for students with connections have now been hospitalized after being beaten by Kim Hyun-sung. The principal strongly insists on expelling him. Just as the English teacher raises his hand in agreement, the homeroom teacher quickly nudges him with his elbow, signaling him to shut up. "If you don't want our relationship to be exposed, you must protect Kim Hyun-sung. If he's expelled, we're both finished." The homeroom teacher stealthily glances at Kim Hyun-sung, his shocked expression terrifying him. He then quickly pleads with the principal, saying that while Kim Hyun-sung has made a mistake, the responsibility isn't entirely his. According to the students' reactions, Young Mi-ho and his gang have been bullying their classmates. "I originally wanted to find an opportunity to..." The principal initially planned to punish him, but unexpectedly, Kim Hyun-sung, unable to bear the bullying, caused this incident. He was a victim before becoming the perpetrator. Punishing him like this would be a breach of our professional duty as teachers. Finally, the principal stated that a review committee would be convened in a week to discuss how to handle Kim Hyun-sung. However, before the meeting, Kim Hyun-sung would be suspended from school and required to report to school with his parents in a week. Kim Hyun-sung casually replied, "I know." The homeroom teacher hurriedly followed, saying, "I've tried my best to speak up for you, but this is not something I can resolve." Kim Hyun-sung was well aware of this. The main reason for bringing him into his plan was that this man was very shrewd. If used properly, he would be completely loyal to him. Mr. Kim said, "I know you've done what you could, but you've known from the beginning that they bullied your classmates. Remember this until I graduate from this school. There's only one way to shut me up, and that's to do everything in your power for me under any circumstances. If you don't show me loyalty, I will tear your life to pieces. I promise you, I will do what I say." Although Kim Hyun-sung desperately wanted to ruin his reputation, he couldn't afford to lose this card in a fit of anger. Until I established myself at this school, he would still have value to be exploited. After lying in bed for 10 years, Kim Hyun-sung finally returned to the road home. His family lived in a dilapidated apartment building, which he had disliked as a child but now missed dearly. When he heard that his grandmother was going to sell the house to raise money for hospitalization, Kim Hyun-sung felt his whole world collapse. When he returned home, he found that his grandmother was not there. It seemed she had gone out to work again. He composed himself. He couldn't remain immersed in grief. Having finally been given a chance to be reborn, besides revenge, he also wanted to ensure that his grandmother lived a life free from want. Within a week, he needed to prepare thoroughly. His future plans were clear: first, to improve his personal combat skills. However, if he could recruit that person, it would give him a significant advantage in future fights. Second, to build a force capable of countering the school bullies. This penniless student couldn't achieve revenge on his own. The third, and most important, plan was to obtain a powerful backer who could minimize or eliminate all problems, allowing him to implement his plans. Furthermore, to resolve the issues raised by the review committee a week later. This backer had to be secured first. During his vegetative state, he heard the news on television every day. The chairman of the Parkson Group is currently choosing a successor. His eldest son, Gao Chongfan, only has a high school diploma, while his younger son, Gao Chongshi, graduated from a prestigious university and married into a wealthy family, expanding his network. One day, Gao Chongfan was arrested for assaulting a passerby. Although he claimed the other person started the fight, there was no CCTV footage of the incident, proving the police knew of Gao Chongfan's powerful background. Releasing him would offend his younger brother, Gao Chongshi, whose influence now surpasses that of his brother. Gao Chongfan was well aware that this incident would significantly impact his succession bid, but he couldn't clear his name. Just when he was at his wit's end, Kim Hyun-sung suddenly appeared beside him. He pointed to Gao Chongfan beside him and said, "I'm here to be a witness for this gentleman." After the police saw the video footage, they finally believed that Gao Chongfan hadn't intentionally injured the man. Since there were no security cameras in that area, Kim Hyun-sung asked the drivers parked nearby for a copy of their car camera footage. The man had been deliberately harassed by that group, so he could only act in self-defense. If the man was wrong, it was that he had the strength to knock the other person down with one punch. Gao Chongfan grabbed Kim Hyun-sung, saying, "Not only are you handsome, but you're also so good at talking," with the evidence irrefutable. The police had no choice but to let him go. Gao Chongfan grabbed a policeman by the collar, saying, "I've got your face. Your future will be very bright." After he left, Gao Chongfan thanked Jin Xiansheng and presented him with a wad of cash as a token of his gratitude. Jin Xiansheng had expected a student his age to be overwhelmed by so much money, but Gao Chongfan remained unfazed. "He's no ordinary guy," Jin Xiansheng suddenly asked sharply. "Brother, do you think today's events were all accidental?" "I'll be frank with you," Gao Chongfan replied. "I know you're Gao Chongfan, the eldest son of the Brands Group, and you're vying with your younger brother, Gao Chongshi, for the position of successor." Gao Chongfan's face immediately darkened. Kim Hyun-sung remained unfazed. "I don't believe today's events were accidental, and there's evidence to prove my words are true. If you truly want to thank me, please give me an hour. I'm certain it won't cost you anything, and it will even change your future." The two went to a coffee shop, where Kim Hyun-sung handed him the original video from the vehicle's surveillance camera. It turned out that 30 minutes before the incident, that group of people hadn't left the spot until Gao Chongfan appeared, at which point they deliberately caused trouble. "Mr. Gao," Kim Hyun-sung said, "you yourself have suspected it, haven't you? Since the succession competition began, it's as if someone has been deliberately targeting you. Have you ever considered that all of this was actually done by your younger brother, Gao Chongshi, to ruin your reputation?" Gao Chongfan asked. "So what is your purpose?" When he heard the other party say that he wanted to help him get revenge and become the next successor, he was amused. "Just you, a student?" However, Kim Hyun-sung's next words made him serious. "I know that there are many people around you fighting for your position. Don't you know that they were all sent by your younger brother? I know you won't believe me at first, but I hope you can give me a chance to build trust. Gao Chongfan thought about it alone outside for a long time. This guy is right. Compared to his younger brother, I have absolutely no advantage. If this continues, my position as successor will definitely be taken away. Can I really trust a kid I've only met once? At this moment, he remembered what his father had said: if you don't have the ability yourself, find some capable people to be your subordinates. You don't need to consider their age or gender, as long as they are useful to you. Gao Shangfan decided to take this gamble. Tell me your plan first, and I'll make a judgment after I've heard everything, Jin Xianxing said bluntly. Gao Chong is more suitable to be your successor than you. He not only graduated from a prestigious university, but he also married a local heiress. Most people have been won over to his side. Aside from being the eldest son, you have no chance in any other aspect. However, even so, I still believe you will be the next successor. Even though Gao Chongshi holds a favorable position, Chairman Gao Mingjing still insists that you two compete for the same reason: his conservative mindset and desire for the eldest son to inherit the family business. If Gao Chongshi, who is excellent in every way, suddenly falls to the same position as you, who do you think your father will choose as his successor? Next, you must possess 3 conditions to win. The first is background, but you've already failed. Gao Chongshi, through marriage, has already established connections with local powerful families. First, there's the evaluation, and your evaluation is that he's an arrogant and domineering thug. Gao Chongshi graduated from a prestigious university. Second, there's his ability. While you were indulging in debauchery, Gao Chongshi was already holding a position in the company. Now, let's go back to the first point and dismantle his background. You need to sow discord between Gao Chongshi and his wife. Once his wife stops supporting him, Gao Chongshi will be back on the same starting line as us. Not long after, Gao Chongshi received devastating news: his wife inexplicably found his villa and beat up his mistress. This incident greatly damaged the Gao family's reputation. Chairman Gao Mingjing, I told you long ago, a man who can't control his lust will get into trouble. If you want to mess around, you should live like your brother, a good for nothing, a lifelong bachelor. And Gao Chongfan, why are you in the police station again? Gao Mingjing thought her eldest son would stubbornly argue as usual, but unexpectedly, this time he actually admitted his mistake and promised that it wouldn't happen again. Gao Mingjing said with relief, I know the other party attacked you first, but you still did your best to avoid conflict. You did a good job. I'm proud of you. After the two came out, the younger brother was seething with anger. Although he didn't know, he told his wife whoever had given him the address, and if he were caught, he would tear them to shreds. Meanwhile, his older brother, Gao Chongfan, was still basking in his father's praise. All of this, of course, was Jin Xianxing's doing. After this incident, Gao Chongfan had developed a strong liking for him and said he would listen to him in everything from now on. Jin Xianxing said that the next step was for Gao Chongfan to join the company and start from the bottom. Upon hearing bottom, Gao Chongfan immediately frowned, but then relaxed, saying he would do whatever Jin Xianxing said. Jin Xianxing then made a condition: while I help you, you must also fulfill my requests. Gao Chongfan generously replied, just tell me, for the sake of the family business, I can do anything. A week later, the school's review committee was about to begin. Young Miho's mother approached the homeroom teacher and slapped him. She said, if you want to continue teaching, you must expel the guy who hit my son. The homeroom teacher was caught in a dilemma. He advised Kim Hyunsung to admit his mistake to minimize the punishment. Kim Hyunsung replied, I know Young Miho's mother is putting pressure on you, but I advise you to clearly choose sides. If I'm finished, you'll be in deep trouble too. The homeroom teacher was utterly desperate. No matter what he chose, he couldn't continue working there. Suddenly, he saw a familiar figure, the guardian sitting next to Kim Hyunsung. Wasn't that the person? Principal Shur asked the homeroom teacher to explain the cause and effect of the incident. The homeroom teacher solemnly stated that the essence of the incident was very clear: a group of school bullies, including Zhang Minhao, had bullied a classmate in the same grade. This incident was entirely due to Jin Xianxing's legitimate self-defense. Upon hearing this, the entire room fell silent. The principal, trembling with fear, exclaimed, "Teacher, are you sure you didn't say something wrong?" However, the homeroom teacher still pointed the finger at Zhang Minheo. That day, Jin Xianxing saw a classmate being bullied and couldn't help but step in to stop them, saying, "Stop fighting, we're still students." But he was threatened by Zhang Minheo and his gang. If someone wanted to hurt you, wouldn't you fight back? Kim Hyun-sung clearly acted in self-defense, and his actions against Young Miho were also to protect himself. He had no choice but to do so. If we ignore the truth and severely punish Kim Hyun-sung, then we will become trash who ignore the essence of violence. The principal is completely panicked. What nonsense are you spouting? We are discussing the first violent incident in the school. Because of this incident, 3 students were sent to the emergency room. No matter the reason, violence cannot be justified. Therefore, we must severely punish the students who committed the violence. Only in this way can we, to reassure parents that their children are safe with us. We first listen to Zhang Minheo's account of the incident. The victim's testimony is usually more credible. Zhang Minheo pretended to be terrified and began to lie, saying he only witnessed Jin Xianxing unilaterally assaulting his classmate. He claimed that other witnesses could corroborate this, but it was undeniable that Jin Xianxing initiated the attack. He said he rushed over when he saw his friend being beaten, but unexpectedly, Jin Xianxing used a weapon. He didn't understand why the teacher was blaming him. Furthermore, this wasn't the first time Jin Xianxing had committed violence. He claimed that when the teacher called Jin Xianxing to the office, he confronted him as soon as he returned to the classroom, punching and kicking. "I didn't do anything, yet he beat me in front of my classmates. Do you think this is my fault?" Zhang Minheo's mother quickly added fuel to the fire. "Please look at my son's face. He's been beaten beyond recognition. How could such a terrible act of violence happen in such a sacred school? Do you think this is acceptable? This happened to Minheo, and other students may suffer similar violence in the future. The perpetrators must be severely punished to restore harmony to our school." After Zhang's mother's encouragement, the students present began to support punishing Jin Xianxing. At this moment, a fist slammed onto the table. The voice silenced everyone instantly. "A bunch of useless trash, spouting nonsense. You're all pretending to be ignorant, aren't you? Don't you think it was those devils in human skin who started this trick?" The principal said sternly, "How can you call the students devils? What are they if not devils? I've looked into Young Miho's group privately. They often extort money from others and have stolen things. They're notorious thugs in this area, yet you still choose to protect them. Are you taking money from them? Those bastards were beaten up and sent to the hospital, but my Hyun-sung did that to protect himself. Didn't the homeroom teacher also say, 'Have you seen it? We need to see the true nature of this incident. Everyone, if you were bullied by such thugs during your school days, would you choose not to fight back?' Zhang Ma immediately erupted in anger. 'How dare you call my son a thug? I heard Kim Hyun-sung is an orphan. Who are you to dare say such a thing?' Gao Chongfan revealed a smug smile. He was quite puzzled when he heard Kim Hyun-sung ask him to be his guardian. "If you want money, just say so," he thought. Mr. Kim stated, "To complete my future revenge, I do need your resources, but besides that, what I need most is supreme power. I will cause a lot of trouble at school in the future, and it will involve legal issues, so I hope you can solve all the troubles behind my back. With you as my protector, at least no one in Jinhai will dare to touch me, and I promise to make you my successor." Gao Shangfan readily agreed. "No matter what trouble you cause, I will clean it up for you." Facing Zhang Ma's questioning, he answered domineeringly, "I am Xianxing's guardian and also Gao Chongfan, the eldest son of Baixing Group. Xianxing is my favorite younger brother. He would never cause trouble for no reason. When I heard that he was called to the review committee, I immediately canceled all my work and rushed over. I originally wanted to donate some money to the school in the name of Baixing Group, but now I think I should forget about it." Unexpectedly, this school is not only of poor quality but also has such a deplorable atmosphere. He suffers unfair bullying every day. Is he to be punished just for fighting back once? Why did the school stand idly by before he was bullied? If they turned a blind eye because he has no money or connections, then today I will completely destroy this prestigious school. All the hooligans who bullied him and those who sided with them will be dealt with using all their power to ensure that they can never have a place in Jinhai again. Everyone present was intimidated by Gao Changfan's imposing aura. The principal never imagined that the eldest son of the Baixing group was Jin Xianxing. If the guardians continue to favor Zhang M. Inheo under these circumstances, they will be unable to maintain any connection with the Baixing group in the future, and their school will be ostracized by other forces. However, if they get rid of Zhang Minheo, this is an excellent opportunity to gain the favor of the Baixing group, and becoming a nationally renowned school will only be a matter of time. The principal immediately turned all the blame on Zhang Minheo. Actually, I've heard that he's the core of that bastard group. Kim Hyunsung is the best student at Tianri School that I acknowledge. There must be a reason why a top student would do something like this. So, let's listen to Kim Hyunsung's statement. Kim Hyunsung stated that he had, my friend reported Zhang Minheo to the teachers several times. But each time the teachers said Zhang Minheo wasn't that kind of student. Even after confirming the truth, they only gave them verbal warnings. This emboldened Zhang Minheo's group to use violence even more recklessly. Although I hit Zhang Minheo and sent others to the emergency room, why should I be involved in the review committee just for using violence once? Is it because the level of violence was too high, or because you think I'm powerless? If you don't severely punish that group that has been doing bad things, I will spread this incident outside the school so that everyone can see the true nature of this school and stop them from doing this. There's only one way to shut me up: a fair and just judgment. Zheng's mother panicked completely. I won't allow you to punish my son. You all just wait. I'm calling my husband. As soon as the call connected, Zheng's mother immediately asked her husband for help. However, when he heard Gao Changfan's name, he immediately changed his tone and scolded Zheng's mother. How dare you do that in front of the eldest son of the Baixing group? Do you want our whole family to be buried with you? You spendthrift woman. Go home right now and let Zhang Minheo take all the punishment. The atmosphere instantly quieted down. In the end, Jin Xianxing was punished with 100 hours of volunteer work, while Zhang Minheo was forced to withdraw. Unable to accept the reality, he immediately rushed forward, but was stopped by a hand. It was his mother. Kim Hyunsung grinned and said, "Kneel down and beg me." Young Miho thought he had misheard. I told you to kneel down and beg me? I've already been expelled. Why should I kneel down and beg you? You should ask your mother whether you should kneel or not. Young's mother turned her head away, avoiding his gaze. Kim Hyunsung continued, do your best to calm me down. Maybe I'll forgive you. At this moment, Young's mother said, Miho, kneel down and beg him quickly. Although young Miho didn't know what was going on, he could only obediently kneel down, saying, I'm sorry, I'll do it again next time. He didn't dare, but young Miho didn't forgive him. You just wait. Your life will only get more miserable from now on. The review committee matter finally ended, and Park Myungshul texted him asking to meet. When he saw Kim Hyunsung appear, Park Myungshul immediately took the initiative to be friendly. Stop talking nonsense. Get to the point. He naturally understood Park Myungshul's purpose. Even young Miho, who had connections, was forced to kneel. He, a powerless thug, naturally couldn't cause any trouble. So he begged Kim Hyunsung to let him go. If he got forgiveness, the school wouldn't expel him. From now on, I'll do whatever you say, even if it means being your slave. He then revealed a secret: there was a powerful force behind them, ordering them to bully Mr. Kim. Just as he hesitated to speak, Kim Hyunsung grabbed him, saying, I know who's behind you. During my time in a vegetative state, there was a news report on TV about a student jumping off a building. The student wrote the truth in his suicide note. It was a group called the Golden Circle. However, the core members weren't exposed. The founder of the Golden Circle, seeing the students suffering from bullying, conceived a lucrative business idea to recruit students with absolute power in schools and then make deals with wealthy and influential parents. This would not only, during the school year, he would protect their children and ensure their academic excellence. His method was to order the school bully to eliminate the better students. To perfectly complete his revenge plan, Kim Hyun-sung was determined to root out and completely destroy all the Golden Circle's influence. "Tell me how the Golden Circle found you," Park Myung-chul exclaimed, surprised that he knew everything. "It was Senior Shin Il-myung who contacted us." Shin Il-myung was the ultimate school bully who controlled the entire school. He wasn't a member of the Golden Circle, but at least through him, they could make contact. However, Shin Young-myung wasn't so easy to deal with. He would become a professional mixed martial arts athlete. Going after him now will only get you a beating. The priority is to figure out how to deal with this kid. Ever since he became a vegetable, his hatred for Park Myung-chul has never ceased. His grandmother's humble apologies only resulted in constant insults and humiliation. "Now I'll show you what happens every time you encounter me." Kim Hyun-sung slapped him hard across the face. In his previous life, Park Myung-chul not only married and had children but also became a model husband. Young Mi-ho and the others were also doing very well. "I've never believed in karma. Only retribution is the eternal truth. I hope you'll leave an indelible mark on your lives from now on." The trauma of being expelled from school, including Young Mi-ho's expulsion, made Kim Hyun-sung the talk of the class. It turned out that the most terrifying thing was when a silent person suddenly became angry. Such a person could completely turn evil once they lost their temper. Just then, Kim Hyun-sung appeared, and the previously lively classroom instantly fell silent. After he sat down, someone came up behind him and said thank you. It was the fat guy whom Kim Hyun-sung had saved from Park Myung-chul earlier. He was very grateful for Kim Hyun-sung's act of bravery and said to let him know if he needed anything in the future. Kim Hyun-sung coldly replied, "Before the review committee, you pretended to know nothing. You said you were afraid to testify for me, and now you know to thank me. Do you think this is appropriate? I won't care what happens to you in the future. Get out of my sight right now. I don't want to see your face." At the same time, the school bully Shin Young-min was furious. He had thought that Kim Hyun-sung, who had no background, was actually protected by the eldest son of the Yum Brands group. In Jinhai, no force could rival Yum Brands. However, Shin Young-min did not give up. This way, he could have an excuse to demand more money from the Golden Circle. He then ordered that the head of the grade, Kim Hyun-sung, come to see him. Soon, Park Jin-woo, the head of the first year, came to the rooftop trembling. Shin Young-min patted his face and said, "There's a guy in your grade named, you bastard Kim Hyun-sung. Beat him to a pulp. Beat him until he can't move a muscle." At this moment, Kim Hyun-sung was also preparing for future threats. He needed to maintain his excellent performance to become a thorn in the side of a certain member of the Golden Circle. He already had several suspected targets, but he couldn't act rashly without solid evidence. His primary goal now was to improve his physique. To this end, after school, he went to Young Duk-yeol's boxing gym. Young Duk-yeol was once the first world champion in mixed martial arts, but now he was an unpopular retired athlete. Young Duk-yeol asked him what courses he wanted to take, and Kim Hyun-sung replied, "I want to improve my fighting skills. His fighting ability is so strong. He could crush all the school bullies." Young Duk-yeol's face instantly darkened. "If you're only here to fight, then I can't teach you." Young Duk-yeol, the country's first UFC champion, was stuck in this small town running a small gym because he tested positive for banned substances in a post-match drug test. Young Duk-yeol offered no explanation and was forced to retire from boxing. However, he later spent 2.5 years training another fighter to reach the championship. "If I could get his private training, my fighting skills would definitely improve significantly," Kim Hyun-sung said directly. He bluntly stated, "Didn't you use every means to defeat him back then? I was also doing my best to achieve my goal. What's wrong with that?" Zhang Doja replied, "That was because I was too stupid and made a mistake." If I had to do it again, I would never make the same choice. I don't want you to face the same miserable result as me in the future. Go back. I can't help you. I'll give you 1 yuan. As long as you agree to teach me, I'll transfer the money to you within a day. I'll transfer the money to you first. So even if I change my mind halfway, you won't lose anything. You should have thought of this outcome before you took the drug, but you still made the decision. Regarding the choice of medication, I chose to learn to fight and confront the school bully. It might lead to lifelong disability or a life in jail, but I'm prepared to accept those consequences, just like your initial choice to take the medication. I'm also desperate now. I need your help. Young Dukyul finally changed his attitude. I can help you with training, but there's a test beforehand. You come with me to the ring. If you can stand on this ring for 3 minutes, I'll accept you as my disciple. At the start of the fight, Young Dukyul launched the first attack, his punch landing heavily on Kim Hyun-sung's blocking arm. He thought he had successfully blocked the attack, but the powerful fist, the punch pierced through his arm and struck his nose, sending him flying. A sharp pain shot straight to the top of his head, and Hyun-sung's body slumped uncontrollably to the ground. Only 10 seconds had passed since he stood up, and then Young Dukyul unleashed a barrage of chaotic punches, raining down on Hyun-sung. All Hyun-sung could do was protect his head. Another punch would surely knock him unconscious. Suddenly, Young Dukyul stopped his attack and delivered a terrifying low sweep, causing Hyun-sung's legs to lose their footing, sending him crashing to the ground. You can still give up now, Hyun-sung thought, enduring the pain as he stood up again. But 3 minutes weren't over yet. Avoid being worn down by his opponent. Kim Hyun-sung decided to launch a counterattack to turn the tide. However, for a professional fighter, this undoubtedly exposed his weakness. Young Dukyul landed a powerful uppercut on his chin, and Kim Hyun-sung fell straight to the ground. Young Dukyul was indeed short of money, but he couldn't sell his last remaining pride to someone who couldn't even withstand this level of blow. Just lie there, he thought. But then a voice came from behind him. It's not over yet. Let's continue. Young Dukyul hadn't expected this guy to be so ruthless. It seemed he hadn't come to learn boxing just for show. However, he had been worried that Kim Hyun-sung's injury might not heal properly. He hadn't used his full strength yet. This time he had to get serious. While protecting his head, Kim Hyun-sung was also constantly on guard, launching another low kick. However, Young Dukyul changed his attack direction, and this punch struck his ribs hard. The person hit would vomit, faint, or even die. This was the excruciating pain of a broken liver and intestines. Kim Hyun-sung's body began to tremble uncontrollably. He tried to stand up, but his body wouldn't obey him. This kind of pain couldn't be endured by willpower alone. Kid, you'd better just give up and go home. Kim Hyun-sung roared internally. You piece of trash. Get up. Haven't you been waiting for this moment for a long time? Do you want to spend another 10 years lying in that hospital bed? This guy thinks about ending his life every day. He's not even afraid of death. So why can't he endure this little bit of pain? If you don't want to repeat the same mistake, get up right now. Under Ding Dosha's shocked gaze, Kim Hyun-sung finally stood up again. That blow was something even professional athletes couldn't withstand. What kind of life have you lived? If this guy gained power, his entire life could be ruined. Ding Dosha vowed to stop him, determined to make sure he didn't regret it for the rest of his life. He used 100 of his strength in that punch. Kim Hyun-sung kept telling himself to hold on. Even if his nose was broken and his teeth were knocked out, he had to hold on with all his might. Ding Dosha's attacks became increasingly fierce. Just when Kim Hyun-sung didn't even have the strength to assume a defensive stance, the 3-minute countdown alarm clock pulled him back from the brink of death. Ding Dosha couldn't help but curse. Damn it, this kid actually pulled through. Don't tell anyone when you get home that I hit you. I'll send you my bank account number later. Back home. His grandmother looked at her grandson, whose face was swollen like a pig's head, and her heart almost broke. Kim Hyun-sung comforted him, saying it was just a conflict at school, but it was all resolved. During dinner, He asked his grandmother if they had a savings account. The Parkson Group has opened a new property development. Go apply for one. Let's buy a spot, we might get selected. It'll definitely appreciate in value later. Kim Hyun-sung really wanted to give his grandmother the money directly, but that would surely draw her questions about where it came from. This method wouldn't arouse her suspicion. He was afraid his grandmother would worry about the school bully, Shin Young-myung. The next day, Park Jin-woo called him to the rooftop, then patted him on the shoulder, praising his efficiency. I just gave the order, and you beat up Kim Hyun-sung. I'm very satisfied with you. From now on, just tell everyone you're my younger brother. Park Jin-woo was completely confused until he saw Kim Hyun-sung's bruised face. What happened to this kid? Was it because he was too arrogant outside of school? Did he get beaten up? It seems Senior Shin Young-ryung mistakenly thought I did it. But since he could be beaten like that, he's definitely not a very strong guy. He then ordered his underlings to inform anyone who gets close to Kim Hyun-sung. I won't let them get away with it. Under Ding Dukyeol's professional guidance, Kim Hyun-sung began a grueling, high-intensity training regimen. Ding Dukyeol grew increasingly impressed with his perseverance, so he decided to use special training on Kim Hyun-sung. If you can keep up with my training pace, everyone will kneel at your feet in the future. A week later, while Kim Hyun-sung was studying diligently, his old friend Kim Soo-woo suddenly approached him. When he heard the other say, I don't, when Kim Hyun-sung was confused when he thought about isolating him like the other students. Kim Soo-woo was bewildered. He hadn't realized Kim Soo-woo was unaware of his isolation, so he explained that Park Jin-woo had made threats to every grade, saying he would kill anyone even slightly close to Kim Hyun-sung. He added that Kim Soo-woo and he had been friends for 10 years. So even if Park Jin-woo was killed, he couldn't bear to see his friend isolated. In his past life, Kim Soo-woo had immediately intervened to protect his friend when he was bullied. But from then on, he became the target of the school bullies. After his leg was broken, the bullies pretended not to recognize him. Then, one day when Kim Soo-woo was in a vegetative state, Kim Soo-woo came to apologize. If there were an afterlife, I will never abandon you again. In this life, Kim Hyun-sung doesn't want him to get hurt because of me again. Don't pretend you're close to me. Just isolate me like the other classmates. I'll handle my own problems. But Kim Soo-woo firmly said, I will never let you face this alone. I'll come find you after class. Kim Hyun-sung didn't want him to be involved with him. Otherwise, he would only become unhappy like before. Except for family, all close relationships had to be severed. After class, Kim Hyun-sung was thinking about how to persuade Kim Sekwar to give up, but a long time passed and he still didn't come. Kim Soo-woo was doomed that I saw Park Jin-woo pull him away, and Kim Hyun-sung's heart skipped a beat. The next second, he pounced like a cheetah. He didn't want Kim Soo-woo to get hurt again because of him. At that moment, Park Jin-woo and a group of people blocked Kim Soo-woo's path. I've already warned everyone not to associate with Kim Hyun-sung. You think I'm just talking nonsense? Kim Soo-woo was not afraid of the school bully at all. He's my best friend. If you want to fight, just do it. Don't try to talk nonsense with me. Just as Yao Jin-woo was about to make a move, Kim Soo-woo struck first, throwing a punch that sent him flying. This made him completely lose face in front of his underlings. He immediately ordered everyone. They all attacked together, facing the onslaught of the crowd. Kim Soo-woo's biggest worry was Kim Hyun-sung. He knew that Hyun-sung had pushed him away to stop this from happening. But in the end, he had willingly gotten involved. Although Hyun-sung must be furious, he couldn't bring himself to stand idly by. To him, Hyun-sung wasn't just a childhood friend, but his best friend, so he absolutely couldn't abandon him. No matter what, Chao Zhenyu seized the opportunity and kicked him in the chest. I heard you've studied Taekwondo. There are always guys like you who like to show off. You've only learned a few moves and you think you're so great. In this world, connections matter. Blame it on you taking yourself too seriously. From today onwards, I'll make sure you and Kim Hyun-sung live in constant fear. A living hell. You'd better be prepared. Just then, the bathroom door was kicked open. Kim Hyun-sung angrily shouted, What are you doing? He had wanted to teach Park Jin-woo a lesson for a while, and today was the perfect opportunity. However, the two were too different in physique, so Kim Hyun-sung decided to provoke him first, hoping to make him lose his temper. Everyone says you beat me up. It hurts my pride to hear that. You fat pig, all you have is a pile of fat, you can't even walk properly, and you say you beat me up? I feel so ashamed. Even when dealing with Kim Sherwoo, Yao Zhenyu fell for the trick of asking others to join him and volunteered to fight Jin Xianxing Anianon. This physically strong but simple-minded guy only knew how to use brute force, so his movements were very large, making it easy for Jin Xianxing to seize the openings and counterattack. He then continued to taunt him, saying that his big body was a waste. Yao Zhenyu was momentarily blinded by arrogance and would definitely rush in to use his intelligence, because he was very confident in his strength. However, Jin Xianxing had already learned a way to deal with this from Ding Doja maintain a safe distance while relentlessly attacking him until he was completely unable to stand up. Today, he had to leave a deep impression of fear on everyone. Seeing that Park Jin-woo was about to die if the beating continued, even the strongest school bully was still just a student. Faced with the devilish Kim Hyun-sung, he finally became afraid. Now answer me honestly, were you the one who beat me up before? Say it clearly again in front of everyone. Park Jin-woo was so frightened that he lost control of his bladder and bowels. He hurriedly said that it was Shin Young-myung who instructed him to do it. How could I possibly beat you? If it weren't for that guy, this wouldn't have happened. Please don't hit me anymore. I'll never dare to mess with you again. Kim Hyun-sung turned around and warned the others not to cause trouble for Kim Soo-woo again, then kicked Park Jin-woo hard in the chin. If I see you lay a hand on him again, I'll find you all and kill you all. After rescuing his best friend from the school bullies, Kim Hyun-sung advised him to stay away from him to avoid being implicated. However, Kim Soo-woo grabbed her hand and firmly stated, "Even if what happened today happens again, I will still stand up for you as always." Unable to persuade him otherwise, Kim Hyun-sung had to confront him directly. Do you think my fights with them were just occasional? Actually, I was the one who provoked them first. They all deserve to die. This is just the beginning. I'm gonna wipe out all those school bullies, even if it means giving up everything I have. I can't tell you the truth right now, but you just need to know that I'm seeking revenge. If you continue to be my friend, things like today will happen frequently. You can't even beat someone like Park Young-woo. So don't get involved in my affairs anymore. Our relationship ends here because you absolutely cannot handle it. At this moment, Shin Young-myung was worrying about how to spend so much money. He could get hundreds of thousands just by bullying a few students. Suddenly, the back door of the classroom was kicked open. The person who came in was Kim Hyun-sung. He stared at Shin Young-myung and asked fiercely, "Are you that loser named Shin Young-myung?" Hearing someone dare to curse him like that, he immediately wanted to. Without a word, Kim Hyun-sung kicked out. Shin Young-myung hurriedly raised his arm to block. "Where did you come from, you lunatic? Why didn't you say who you were before attacking?" Kim Hyun-sung remained silent, raising his fist and charging forward. Shin Young-myung cursed angrily, "Who the hell are you?" He noticed that the guy seemed to have some martial arts training, but his punches lacked power and he wasn't using any fixed techniques. However, the next second, a powerful punch struck Shin Young-myung squarely in the abdomen. Shin Young-myung coughed up blood. "You ask who I am? I'm the Kim Hyun-sung you've been looking for." Seeing that the guy finally spoke, Shin Young-myung asked him why he was there. However, Kim Hyun-sung showed no sportsmanship whatsoever, picking up a stool and smashing it at him. Shin Young-myung thought this guy must be crazy, daring to hit me with a chair. Kim Hyun-sung was obviously doing this on purpose. He had to maintain an absolute advantage in terms of momentum, and any lapse in concentration would mean defeat. Forced to defend, Shin Young-myung finally retaliated, grabbing Kim Hyun-sung's fist. "You won't be leaving this classroom alive today." Kim Hyun-sung raised his arm to block, but his opponent copied him, changing the direction of his attack. "You think you're the only one who can use feints?" Kim Hyun-sung endured the pain, telling himself he had to withstand it. From the beginning, he knew he wasn't Shin Youngmyung's opponent, who had come to fight this time, didn't intend to escape unscathed. He wanted to seize an opportunity and gamble everything. Kim Hyun-sung seized the moment, grabbed Shin Youngmyung's leg, and then rushed forward, pushing him out the window. This classroom was on the top floor of the school building. A fall would have meant certain destruction. Fortunately, Shin Youngmyung clung tightly to the windowsill. He was completely terrified. Kim Hyun-sung was like a madman, shouting, "It's either you or me." Students nearby hurriedly shouted, "Pull that madman away." Although Shin Youngmyung had survived, he was already deeply resentful of Kim Hyun-sung. Sung was filled with fear, especially after Kim Hyun-sung threatened him. "You think this is over? The moment you laid a hand on my friend, it was destined that I would kill you. So just wait and see. I'll kill you as soon as I get the chance. I'll make you live in fear for the rest of your life. This is the consequence of moving me." A classmate asked Shin Youngryong if she was all right, but she was still stubborn. "Why are you asking me that? Didn't you see that guy get beaten up?" The classmate quickly apologized. "Although I saw it, do you really not need to go to the hospital for your back?" Soon, a student told the homeroom teacher about the incident. This matter is bound to be difficult to handle, especially since the principal just said he wanted to make the school a nationally renowned institution. However, when he came to the office, the principal said there was no need to investigate further. It turns out that Gao Chongfan, the eldest son of the Baishin group, had agreed to sponsor the school, but on the condition that during Jin Xianxing's time at the school, no matter what trouble he caused, it had to be covered up. Therefore, this matter will be treated as if nothing happened. I won't let you do this for nothing. I will prioritize the school's performance evaluations and various awards. Furthermore, the Baishin Group recently opened several new housing developments, and Gao Chongfan secretly reserved over a dozen apartments for them. Given the recent continuous rise in housing prices, shouldn't the homeroom teacher also get a few sets? Do what you used to do to protect those students, but from now on, our only focus will be on Kim Hyun-sung. The homeroom teacher immediately understood and promised to handle things perfectly. Seeing how cooperative the homeroom teacher was, the principal told him to just call him Big Brother from now on, which the teacher readily agreed to. The two scoundrels immediately swore an oath of brotherhood. Their goal was clear: to protect Kim Hyun-sung so he could graduate smoothly and gain the protection of the powerful Baishin Group. Just as they were imagining their bright future, someone suddenly burst in, shouting that Kim Hyun-sung had assaulted someone. Hitting too, enraged, Shin Ingming felt incredibly aggrieved. Who was this audacious bastard? It was Kim Hyun-sung who had attacked him first, yet he was now the one who had instigated the violence. However, the principal and homeroom teacher, who had secretly colluded with him, wouldn't listen to his explanation. This infuriated Shin Ingming. "I was almost thrown down by him. Many classmates can testify for me." The homeroom teacher patted him on the shoulder and said, "Although you have witnesses, the key is whether anyone will believe their testimonies. Kim Hyun-sung is a model student. Do you think everyone will side with him?" Shin Ingming couldn't help but swear. The homeroom teacher grabbed his collar. "You dare to yell at me like that? If you continue with this attitude and refuse to admit your mistake, be careful we expel you." This feeling was both familiar and strange to Shin Ingming. The two adults in front of him were just like him, utterly rotten scum. He finally realized that taking action against Kim Hyun-sung was not a simple matter, and in the end, he could only obediently bow his head and admit his mistake. However, Shin Ingming did not give in. He planned to take out a portion of the money and ask the person in charge of the agency for help. Kang Taeju, as the middleman, was mainly responsible for finding thugs for Golden Circle at school. If the thugs failed, he would be fully responsible. Golden Circle would not tolerate failure. This malicious way of using connections to solve problems was different from their. The methods were similar. All students who attacked the target were expelled, and the principal and teachers were doing their utmost to protect him. So, Kang Taeju personally intervened, approaching the principal. He said, "I heard that not long ago, 3 students at your school were beaten and sent to the emergency room and were expelled. However, the student who did the attack, Kim Hyun-sung, only received a minor punishment. Actually, given the seriousness of this matter, it should have been investigated. Are you giving Kim Hyun-sung special treatment? If so, I will definitely pursue this to the end. The principal remained unfazed by his threats. Considering the student's future, we haven't yet had the police investigate, but we have already reported it to the police. So you can do whatever you want, Kang Tae-jun said. I'm a man of my word, he declared. The principal remained unmoved. In Gimhee, your threats are completely useless. Kang Tae-jun then went to the police station, only to be told that Kim Hyun-sung was acting in self-defense. Enraged, Kang Tae-jun threatened to expose the incident, saying, "You should know how powerful the internet is." However, the police officer, like the principal, was fearless. This is Gimhee, he said. Even if you expose it, people will forget about it after a few days of vacation. Kang Tae-jun was now completely helpless. All public officials were openly protecting Kim Hyun-sung. If he continued, unable to find any other way, this mission was bound to fail. And the Golden Circle never let a loser off easily. His life would be ruined. So he put all the pressure on Shin Young-min again. Our goal isn't to kill Kim Hyun-sung, but to lower his grades. I don't care what methods you use as long as you bring down his grades. We'll complete the mission. If you give up or fail, you'll pay a heavy price. Shin Young-min cursed inwardly. That bastard. He promised to back me up, but now he's acting like a coward, shifting all the blame onto me. Just as he was worrying about what to do next, someone suddenly approached him from behind. He slapped him, and a familiar voice rang out, "I told you to be careful." Shin Ingming turned to punch him, but Jin Xianxing's words stopped him in time. Is that order more important than your life? I heard the client went to the principal, so I understand your situation. But I must remind you, the eldest son of the Baishin group is my guardian. From the beginning, I never intended to settle scores with just you. You've overestimated yourself and angered me. Don't think being expelled will solve this. I will try to turn this into a criminal case, giving you a criminal record. Once you get out of prison, there will be people from the Baishin group. They'll find you and use every means to make it impossible for you to live in Jinhai. If you want to live like a human being, you have no choice but to leave Jinhai. But even if you leave, I won't let you go. My only goal is to destroy anyone who touches me. If you still want to live like a human being in Jinhai, then from now on, grit your teeth and endure it, and learn from those you beat up before. The next day, Shin Yiming arrived at school with a face full of injuries. His classmates all talked about how Jin Xianxing must have ambushed him after school. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to beat him. In fact, Shin Yiming could have easily taken down Jin Xianxing if he wanted to. But the problem was that the Baishin group behind him, the local tyrant, was a powerful figure. But if Kim Hyun-sung were let off so easily, the Golden Circle would surely ruin everything. It would be better to be expelled from school and have a criminal record. Losing control, Shin Young-min slammed his head on the table. He shouldn't have accepted the commission in the first place. He prayed that Kim Hyun-sung would make a mistake and his grades would drop. Even just a slight drop would buy him some time. However, Kim Hyun-sung was also waiting for the midterm exams. When he achieved overwhelming success, all his hidden anger would erupt. The voice of wanting to survive at all costs, the secret Golden Circle needing to complete the order, and the anger caused by his grades not dropping. The frantic client. In the instant these people erupted simultaneously, I could get what I wanted. Although using the principal and the brands was rather despicable as long as I achieved my desired result. No one in this school would dare to touch me. The wall built with violence gave Kim Hyun-sung an unprecedented sense of security. At the same time, he was also working hard to improve his fighting skills. Jung Dukyul was very satisfied with this apprentice. If it weren't for the monetary deal with him, he would definitely have suggested that he participate in professional fighting. Just as Kim Hyun-sung finished training and was about to leave, a familiar figure suddenly entered through the door. He said to Jung Dukyul, "My name is Kim Suk. Is it the one I met before?" The person who contacted him for a martial arts course was once his closest friend. However, faced with this deep friendship again, Kim Hyun-sung resolutely rejected the other person's concern. He didn't want to see his best friend being bullied again. Just moments ago, Kim Soo-woo also came to the gym, wanting to train and get stronger together. It turned out that when Kim Soo-woo learned that Kim Hyun-sung had provoked Shin Young-myung, and the two almost fell from a building, he realized that Kim Hyun-sung was behind it all. He had issued a warning to the entire school that anyone who dared to harm someone close to him would be in big trouble. He couldn't understand why Kim Hyun-sung had become so distant. He had previously said he would definitely make his grandmother. Grandma was living a good life, but now, his biggest goal was to risk everything and take down all the school bullies. However, since he had decided to do this, how could his best friend abandon him? Therefore, Kim Soo-woo also came to Young Duk-yeol's boxing gym. Kim Hyun-sung tried to persuade the gym owner not to accept him, offering to cover his tuition. Young Duk-yeol roughly guessed their relationship. Kim Hyun-sung needed a friend to keep him from causing trouble. However, what he didn't expect was that Kim Soo-woo's purpose was to help Kim Hyun-sung defeat the school bullies. Young Duk-yeol was extremely annoyed. Do you think this is a place where people encourage violence to solve problems? Kim Suk tore off his bandages again. Showing the wounds on my face, I explained, "These were from when I fought back against the school bullies. The violence happening at school isn't as simple as you adults imagine. If Hyun-sung hadn't helped me, I might be lying on the cold bathroom floor, my life hanging in the balance. Hyun-sung took all the danger to protect me. I don't want to give up on a friend like him. Hyun-sung must have his reasons for coming here for training. This is all the money I have. If it's not enough, he'll work to pay it back." Ding Doja angrily slammed his fist on the table. He couldn't understand why these students, so young, would choose such a dangerous path, but their situation was indeed very perilous. Even for the most, his close friends were all caught up in the violence, and he wasn't sure if advising them against retaliating with violence was the right thing to do. After a fierce internal struggle, Ding Doja finally conceded. "Come to the boxing gym tomorrow, but if you can't keep up with the training, he'll kick you out." Just as Jin Shur came out of the room, a pair of gloves flew towards him. Jin Xianxing said, "Judging from your expression, the gym owner probably agreed, but I don't. So you have to prove to me that even if you fall into the depths of hell like me, you still have the will to fight your way back. I want to see how long you can hold out with that worthless friendship. You're involved. Maybe someone will steal. If I kill you, you might spend your whole life in prison, and in the end, you'll have nothing left. From now on, I won't consider you a friend anymore." Kim Soo-woo merely smiled slightly. He knew Kim Hyun-sung wanted to use his strength to make him back down, but there was something Hyun-sung had probably forgotten: he had once been a professional athlete. If he hadn't been confident in his fighting skills, he wouldn't have stood up in the first place. In an unknown fight, the school bully would have been defeated long ago. However, under Young Duk-yeol's training, Kim Hyun-sung was no longer the same. He seized the opportunity, pinned Kim Soo-woo to the ground, and then mercilessly swung his fists at him. He kept hitting and shouting for Kim Soo-woo to give up, but Kim Soo-woo firmly declared that he would never give up. Kim Hyun-sung's punches became increasingly fierce, trying to break his will through physical force. Kim Soo-woo stopped resisting and just kept laughing. Kim Hyun-sung finally gave up. "Why did you go to such lengths? As a friend, you've done enough." In his mind, a memory always lingered when he was a child. Kim Soo-woo was often beaten to a pulp by the school bullies, and his parents ignored him. In that darkest hour, Kim Hyun-sung appeared. For Kim Soo-woo, this was undoubtedly a ray of light in the darkness. Therefore, he didn't want Kim Hyun-sung to get hurt because of him. Kim Soo-woo told him, "You ask me why I went to this extent. It's because none of this is your fault. As your friend, I can't pretend I don't see it. This is my own life and I can do whatever I want." Just then, Young Duk-yeol walked over. He couldn't understand why these two brothers were being bullied at school. Their strength was far beyond that of ordinary people. Kim Soo-woo possessed explosive kicking skills and a natural ability to perfectly control distance, while Kim Hyun-sung was extremely gifted in terms of intellect. He could judge which situation was more advantageous to him before others, and was extremely keen-eyed and never missing a weakness. He suddenly addressed the two, asking if they had given up fighting and wanted to become athletes with him. He promised to risk everything to help them reach the pinnacle of the fighting world. Ding Doja hadn't wanted to suggest this, but seeing their exceptional abilities, he couldn't resist. He advised Kim Hyun-sung to drop out of school and train with him, promising a future at the top of the fighting world. However, Kim Hyun-sung replied that he had no interest in fighting and experienced immense pain during fights, but he had to do it to achieve his goal. He said, "If you insist on having me compete professionally, then let's cancel the deal and call it a day. Please don't interfere." After Kim Hyun-sung left, Kim Soo-woo followed. He was determined to fight alongside Hyun-sung. No matter what, he wouldn't regret it. Hyun-sung then put forward 3 conditions. First, he must train with him every day. Second, if they encountered a fight they couldn't win or a legal issue, he absolutely couldn't interfere. And third, the Brand's group would pay him a living allowance every month. Don't ask why. Just accept it. Also, he must study hard. If one day we can escape this hellish reality, I hope you can live a better life than others. After a week, the midterm exams for the second semester officially arrived. If he didn't achieve good results in these exams, Kim Hyun-sung's plan would be completely ruined. Although he didn't need to achieve good grades for revenge, he could simply expose the Golden Circle's existence by collecting evidence. His goal was to utterly destroy them. The Golden Circle always considered failure shameful and completing their missions honorable, so he wanted to trample on their pride and make himself a thorn in their side that they wanted to eliminate as quickly as possible. Although Hyun-sung had been in a vegetative state in the hospital for 10 years, his memories from his student days remained incredibly clear after this rebirth. He remembered the correct answers to every single question perfectly, so when the exam ended and the students were checking their answers, Kim Hyun-sung confidently awaited his results. At that moment, his classmate Oh Hye-ji asked him why he didn't check the answers. Oh Hye-ji was the undisputed class beauty, not only cute but also very popular. In her previous life, she had confessed her feelings to Kim Hyun-sung, but he rejected her, arguing that romance would affect his grades. Oh Hye-ji offered to help him check the answers, and Kim Hyun-sung didn't stop her. His immense popularity would also be useful for his revenge. The entire class was drawn to Oh Hye-ji's surprised exclamation. Unexpectedly, Kim Hyun-sung had achieved perfect scores in all his subjects. The next day Ren called him to the rooftop, where Jin Xianxing asked if he had ever heard of the Golden Circle. "I'll explain what the Golden Circle is to you now," Ren said. "You can digest this slowly." The higher-ups at the Golden Circle were about to lose their composure. The reason was that Jin Xianxing had achieved a perfect score in the National College Entrance Examination. These parents, who had entrusted their children to the Golden Circle, were bombarding the principal with phone calls, all questioning whether he had given him special treatment or whether Jin Xianxing had secretly enrolled in a new Oriental tutoring program. The homeroom teacher also stated that the exam was indeed extremely difficult, and it was impossible for someone to achieve a perfect score. However, the principal said, "I have high hopes for him. I already see Jin Xianxing becoming the top scorer in the college entrance examination. With his outstanding grades, he entered the top university in the country, giving our school the opportunity to become a nationally renowned institution." Jin Xianxing's excellent academic performance, coupled with the backing of the Baixing Group, finally made my long-held dream a reality. However, I have a bad feeling that Jin Xianxing might cause trouble again, which would greatly affect our school's reputation. Therefore, my younger brother, you must take good care of Jin Xianxing and make sure he becomes a model student of excellent character and academic performance. Since your class has produced the top student in the entire school, they'll give you this as a small reward. I hope you can continue your efforts until Jin Xianxing graduates. After this, I will make you a core leader in our school. The money-grubbing homeroom teacher immediately promised to complete the task. Later, Kim Hyun-sung summoned the homeroom teacher to the rooftop, told him the secret of the golden circle, and warned him that if anything happened to him, he would be finished too. Although the homeroom teacher realized the golden circle's power, he was now on the same side as Kim Hyun-sung. What should I do now? Should I stop Shin Young-myung from taking action against you? He asked. However, Kim Hyun-sung said no need. Whether before or now, I only have one request for you. No matter what I do, you must pretend nothing happened. As long as you adults just stand by and watch, the homeroom teacher thought, so you need to be mentally prepared. The teacher instantly felt immense pressure. It seemed this guy was about to cause a major upheaval. Meanwhile, Shin In-ming was severely beaten by the Golden Circle's agent. If you can't handle Kim Hyun-sung this time, it'll cripple one of your arms. This is your last chance. Filled with hatred for Kim Hyun-sung, Shin In-ming immediately gathered his men to discuss revenge. Someone suggested ambushing him after school and killing him. However, this would give Kim Hyun-sung's backing, the Yum Brand's group, a reason to intervene. They needed to make Kim Hyun-sung anxious and restless by acting within the school grounds, where their people couldn't get involved. And unable to study is considered a success. At this point, the second-year leader suggested a plan. Instead of each student causing trouble for him every now and then, why not all of us go after him together? Everyone knows the principal dreams of building a prestigious school, so he certainly wouldn't dare punish so many students at once. Shin In-ming immediately perked up. It was indeed a good idea. A few days later, Jin Xianxing was suddenly surrounded by a group of people. One of them deliberately bumped into him and cursed, "You brat!" Then another person rushed up and slapped Jin Xianxing on the head, saying, "Can't you watch where you're going?" Then a whole group of people surrounded him, saying, "You little brat, you bumped into someone and you still want to run." Jin Xianxing shouted without hesitation, throwing a punch. He had been wondering why no one had bothered him yet. Now he realized they were using this tactic against him. He was impatient. Bring it on. This is how you'll find meaning in trampling your lives. After teaching them a lesson, Jin Xianxing threatened, "Have your leader bring everyone over now. I'll take on all of you by myself." The second-year leader and his underlings found Jin Xianxing. "Fighting in the classroom won't do you any good. Let's go somewhere the teachers don't frequent. How about that?" They then went to the garbage dump behind the school building. In the arena, facing this group of older students, Kim Hyun-sung was naturally no match. He pointed at the students watching the spectacle and said, "I think you all care about your reputation. A group of you ganging up on me would be incredibly embarrassing if word got out. Why don't you come at me one by one? Of course, if you're afraid of me, then disregard what I said." Kim Hyun-sung's provocation worked. The second-ranked school bully in the second year was the first to step forward. "Unknown, ill oblige. But once I make a move, I won't need anyone else." The reason Kim Hyun-sung chose this place for the duel was because he wanted to demonstrate pure power, conquer all his classmates, and silence their doubts about him, turning the school into a world solely under his control. The second-year school bully suddenly rushed forward, throwing a punch with all his might, expecting his opponent to be knocked down. However, Kim Hyun-sung blocked the attack with his arm in that instant. The school bully clenched his fist again, thinking, "Let's see how you dodge this time." Unexpectedly, Kim Hyun-sung easily dodged the attack again, a wicked smile appearing on his lips. Then suddenly he delivered a heavy punch that slammed into the school bully. Park Jin-woo, watching from upstairs, broke out in a cold sweat. This madman actually knocked down his senior with one punch. It seems my loss to him back then wasn't accidental. Just as Park Jin-woo decided he would never, just as he was about to lose his temper, someone tapped him on the shoulder from behind. Park Jin-woo turned around, ready to lash out, when suddenly a fist came flying at him. It was Kim Soo-woo. Apparently, when Kim Soo-woo saw that he was facing the second-year school bully alone, he offered to fight him. However, Kim Hyun-sung refused. If Kim Soo-woo joined in, they would have a reason to use their numerical advantage to suppress him. So he said to Kim Soo-woo, "If you really want to help me, Go get revenge on that Park Jin-woo guy and prove to me that I'm not fighting alone. Park Jin-woo retorted angrily. Don't think you can be so arrogant just because Kim Hyun-sung is backing you up. Rather than live so pathetic, I might as well cripple you and transfer schools. But the next second, he was proven wrong. Kim Soo-woo kicked him in the stomach. Park Jin-woo began to question his existence. I can't even beat this guy, he thought. He couldn't afford to lose face in front of so many classmates. So he launched a frenzied attack on Kim Soo-woo. However, he was struck in the chin by a flying kick and sent flying. Kim Soo-woo then caught up, raised his leg high, and slammed it into Park Jin-woo's face. Meanwhile, Kim Hyun-sung was also slapping the school bully repeatedly. The second-year leader hadn't expected this kid to be so clever. He had planned an unknown fight from the beginning, and then, in front of the whole school, if you defeat all the second-year students, hell steal my position, Pei Ching-hao said, stepping forward. That's enough. Now I'll be your opponent. To be honest, I acknowledge your strength. But you dare to dream of defeating all of us by yourself. That's incredibly disrespectful. Kim Hyun-sung coldly replied, I do look down on you. Enraged, Pei Ching-hao immediately threw a punch. This time, Kim Hyun-sung didn't dodge. He retaliated with the same punch. Pei Ching-hao threw another punch, and Kim Hyun-sung actually laughed. Then the two began to exchange blows. Pei Ching-hao never expected this guy to dare to. He was gonna fight him heathen, hadn't he considered the size difference? Pei Ching-hao was starting to feel the strain, but admitting defeat would only invite the scorn and ridicule of the entire school. How long was this guy going to keep going? Kim Hyun-sung punched him in the front teeth. The intense pain made Pei Ching-hao start to feel dizzy. But Kim Hyun-sung didn't stop. He grabbed Pei Ching-hao's hair and slammed it into his face with all his might. Seeing Pei Ching-hao lying unconscious on the ground, the other boys were too scared to approach. Kim Hyun-sung told them, Don't just stand there. Go get Shin In-ming. When Shin In-ming learned that everyone was knocked down by Kim Hyun-sung, who immediately ordered everything to proceed as planned. He had injured so many people this time that no matter how much the principal tried to protect him, he couldn't suppress the matter. Soon, someone ran to the office and told the teachers what had happened, while someone else directly called the police station. Not long after, the principal received a call from the education bureau. Shin Young-myung grinned maliciously, thinking, Let's see how you clear your name this time. However, all his plans failed. After receiving the call from the education bureau, the principal simply dealt with the matter with a few words, and the teachers dismissed the students' claims as nonsense. The police even warned them that if they filed a false report, they would all be arrested. Frustrated by the failed plan, Shin In-ming cursed the group of scum, saying they were unworthy of being teachers. He lamented that the police wouldn't even bother to verify the report before accusing him of filing a false report. He thought, since things have come to this, he'll personally tear that bastard Kim Hyun-sung to pieces. But just then, his phone rang. As soon as he answered, his father's roar came through the phone, You little brat. Are you going to lay a hand on someone named Kim Hyun-sung? Don't you dare lay a hand on him, or our whole family will be buried with you. It turned out that Shin In-ming's father had borrowed a large sum of money from loan sharks, and Gao Chong-fan had gone to the loan shark. The company claimed that Park's Group had several small projects and wanted to include their company in them. The other party, hearing this, was naturally very willing to establish a connection with Park's Group. Gao Chong-fan then demanded that Shin In-ming hand over the loan contracts belonging to Shin In-ming's father. Shin In-ming was furious. He was certain that Jin Xiansheng, that bastard, was threatening his father. Just then, another voice came through the phone. Hello, this is Gao Chong-fan. Listen carefully, your family is about to be liquidated, and you will inherit a large portion of the debt. Don't even think about escaping those loan sharks. Even if you hide underground, they'll dig you up. In short, from this moment on, your life is completely over. Don't blame me for not leaving you a way out. As long as you're willing to be beaten up by Kim Hyun-sung and don't let anyone else find out you're faking it, they'll consider letting you go. Shin In-ming said, Your approach is too despicable. Gao Chong-fan cursed, Are you out of your mind? Why are you worrying so much about the fight? Winning is everything. Remember this, what I say. When the classmates saw Shin Ingming appear, they all began to look forward to the show. Kim Hyun-sung grinned and said, "You've finally decided to show up. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and attack me," threatened. Shin Ingming was already seething with anger, and immediately, he rushed forward without hesitation, only to find that Kim Hyun-sung stood motionless. Shin Youngmyung eventually withdrew his fist, because Go Chong-fan had said that if he dared to lay a hand on Kim Hyun-sung, he was truly dead. At that moment, Kim Hyun-sung provocatively said that he should have received the call, and then punched him directly in the face. Was he saying he wanted to make his defeat as obvious as possible, but he didn't want Shin Youngmyung to carry such a burden? He said Shin Youngmyung could either kneel down and beg him like a coward, or risk his life, protect his self-respect, and fight him head-on with all his might. Kim Hyun-sung had already guessed that he would choose the latter. If it weren't for so many classmates surrounding him, he might refrain from attacking if he were merely watching, but he was at the age of youthful vigor, and with so many classmates watching, he certainly wouldn't be able to remain rational. Shin Youngmyung was prepared to fight Kim Hyun-sung to the death. However, because Shin Youngmyung had participated in many amateur fighting competitions, Kim Hyun-sung easily found his competition videos and analyzed his movements with Young Dukil. They discovered several characteristics. Firstly, when Shin Youngmyung was in a state of heightened arousal, he would expose his face. Secondly, when counterattacking, he would habitually use a left hook. And thirdly, once his footwork became larger, it meant he wanted to end the fight quickly and use all his strength. All his energy was focused on his fist, and this was the perfect moment to counterattack. Kim Hyun-sung dodged the attack to the side and delivered a powerful punch to Shin Youngmin's face. This situation left all the students in disbelief. At that moment, Kim Hyun-sung used his legs to firmly lock Shin Youngmin's shoulders, and his hands wrapped around her arm, pulling upwards with all his might. The sound of bones breaking and screams of agony instantly echoed throughout the school. The onlookers were terrified by the demonic Kim Hyun-sung, who had proven his strength to the entire school. Kim Hyun-sung and his best friend Kim Sekwar had both given the school bully a sound beating. However, Kim Sekwar was worried about Kim Hyun-sung because he had broken Shin Youngmin's arm. Hyun-sung said not to worry. Even though so many people saw it, no one would stand up for him because the world has never sympathized with the weak. At this moment, the homeroom teacher silently walked past them. He had already cursed Kim Hyun-sung 100,000 times in his heart. This guy was crazy. How was he going to clean up the mess he had made? But for now, he could only obediently help Kim Hyun-sung. Neither the Yum group nor the principal were people he could afford to offend. So the homeroom teacher turned to warn Shin Youngmin. First of all, your arm was broken by yourself. It has nothing to do with Kim Hyun-sung. If anyone dares to drag Kim Hyun-sung into this mess, all the bad things you've done before will be exposed, understand? Zhang Ingming scolded. How could you do this as a teacher? Right now, your first concern should be my health. The homeroom teacher said fiercely. When I turned a blind eye to you before, did you forget I was still a teacher? Whether in the past or now, I haven't changed. Only the people I care about have changed. So I advise you to obediently listen to me. You should know I'm a person of my word. At that moment, Jiang Taiju, the local head of the Golden Circle, was being punished. He begged his superiors for another chance, promising success this time. The middleman stated, "Don't you understand the basic rules of this circle? We use the most common form of school violence to satisfy the client's demands, perfectly conceal the client's identity, and then complete the task flawlessly. That's the style of the Golden Circle. If you expose the secrets of the Golden Circle, can you bear the responsibility?" It seems Kim Hyun-sung is quite extraordinary, but ultimately just a greenhorn. A week later, Shin Youngmyung, having just been discharged from the hospital, received a message from Kim Hyun-sung. If you reveal the client's true identity, he'll agree to let you only participate up to this point. Shin Youngmyung didn't expect that this guy's revenge against him wasn't over yet. However, Taijun sent a text message saying the job was over, and then nothing more. If you want to punish me, hurry up, making me live in constant fear. Both of these people instilled fear in Shin Youngmyung. When he returned home, he found the house in a mess. His father, seeing him, immediately started hitting him. Didn't I tell you not to touch that Kim Hyun-sung? Now our family is completely ruined. It's all your fault. Even if you're a scoundrel, you have to have limits. The family I worked so hard to build. You've destroyed it all. Shin Youngmyung finally felt fear. He couldn't believe it was real. How could a mere student have the power to destroy his family? Just then, his phone rang. The caller was Kim Hyun-sung. Shortly after, Shin Youngmyung knelt on the ground, begging for forgiveness. I shouldn't have accepted the Golden Circle's commission. I took myself too seriously. Although I really wanted to tell you the client's identity, I'm just a nobody and I genuinely didn't know. So please forgive me this time. I'll even be your underling. Kim Hyun-sung replied, Why should I forgive you? I warned you long ago not to touch anyone around me, but you still had your men do it. In this business, you have to admit your mistakes and stand up straight when you're beaten. Besides, I believe you truly didn't know the client's identity. The Golden Circle wouldn't reveal this to someone as insignificant as you. These are some important points. Seeing how pitiful you are, I'll give you one chance. From now on, if you can endure this for a month and show me your sincerity, I might forgive you. However, Kim Hyun-sung didn't tell him exactly what he needed to endure. He had to figure it out himself. The next day, all the classmates were mocking Shin Youngmyung. You've been beaten up like this, and you still have the nerve to come to school? Look at you, still daring to act like a boss. But when Shin Youngmyung looked at them, they were all terrified and quickly shut up. If that's all Kim Hyun-sung said, then I can still endure it for a month. I'll teach them a lesson and establish my authority after a month. At this moment, he discovered that the notoriously cowardly Han Mingxuan was actually staring at him. It was like a dragon in shallow water being mocked by shrimp, a tiger fallen to the plains being bullied by dogs. Even an idiot like Han Mingxuan dared to look him in the eye. Shin Ningming tried his best to restrain himself, but Han Mingxuan walked straight towards him and poured all the milk over his head. Shin Ningming was about to explode in anger when Han Mingxuan said, You know Kim Hyun-sung, right? He told us we could do this to you. How does this feel? However, Kim Hyun-sung hadn't asked him to do this. It was all Han Mingsun's own choice. A few days ago, Kim Hyun-sung had listed all the bullying Shin Ingming had inflicted on them over the years to the classmates. If I hadn't defeated, he couldn't possibly be standing here, so from now on, I'm going to punish him. For the next month, no matter how much you bully Shin Ingming, he can't fight back. Of course, I won't force you to participate, but what I want to say is, kindness is often taken advantage of, and a good horse is often ridden. If no one participates, Shin Ingming will graduate from school unscathed. Those of you who have been bullied and humiliated by him, remember one thing: no one in this world can do anything for you. These words resonated strongly with Han Mingxuan. He had become a target of bullying simply because he had made eye contact with Shin Yingling. On campus, he was treated like a toy to pass the time. Han Mingxuan kept comforting himself that he would be free after graduation. But a question suddenly arose in his mind: would Shin Ingming regret everything he had done after graduation? The answer was, of course, no. To heal his wounded heart, Han Mingxuan decided he had to take matters into his own hands. At this moment, he finally believed Jin Xiansheng's words. Shin Ingming really didn't dare to resist. How does it feel to be beaten by someone like me, you idiot? He thought. But I feel very happy. Then, he spat into Shin Yingming's bowl. I wonder if you still remember, you did the same thing to me back then. Do you remember what you said? I'll never forget that, you bastard. You're going to eat it all. With Han Mingxuan leading the way, more and more classmates began to retaliate against Shin Ingming. Some imitated his tone to lecture him. Others hid at the toilet door and tripped him, a trick head used on almost everyone before. Just as he came out of the toilet, someone smashed a bottle over his head. All the classmates had bullied before had ganged up on him. Zhang Yiming was like a stray dog. No one sympathized with him. He desperately wanted to kill them all, but the thought of Jin Xiansheng's terrifying eyes sent a chill down his spine. He decided to endure it a little longer. Just endure it for a month, until Kim Hyun-sung lets me go. At this moment, Kim Hyun-sung is searching for the client behind the golden circle. The suspects have been narrowed down to 4 people, but they still can't be sure who they are. Don't worry, focus on the immediate target. Those who beat and kicked Shin Young-myung and the teacher pretending nothing happened are all the same people in Kim Hyun-sung's eyes. But thanks to them, the next step of the plan can be implemented. Soon, Shin Young-myung received a text message that said, "If you listen to me, you'll never be bullied again." He hesitated, like grasping at a straw. He immediately agreed. However, Kim Hyun-sung sneered, "How dare you accept my suggestion without even asking?" That evening, Shin Young-myung arrived at a convenience store. After struggling internally for a long time, he put on a mask and hat. The convenience store employee was none other than Park Myung-chul, the school bully whom Kim Hyun-sung had ruined and forced to drop out of school. After Shin Young-myung entered, without saying a word, he grabbed Park Myung-chul's hair and slammed him heavily onto the table. Park Myung-chul nervously asked who he was cursing. Shin Young-myung ignored him and punched him again. Only then did Park Myung-chul realize that this person looked familiar, even though he was wearing a mask. But the hair and eyes clearly belonged to Shin Young-myung. The next day, besides Park Myung-chul, the other 2 dropouts were also beaten up. They didn't understand why Shin Young-myung would attack them. One of them wanted to call the police, but Park Myung-chul said, "This guy is crazy. If we mess with him, we'll all be in trouble. Let's just consider this our bad luck. We shouldn't let him know if we see him again." We recognized him. At this moment, a familiar voice rang out from the side. A group of little Karaomis. "So you've all gathered here. You all know that I was the one who did it yesterday, right?" Park Myung-chul asked, "Why did you do this?" "We didn't offend you. It was because I was attacked by Kim Hyun-sung had seized the opportunity. If I can make you experience hell within this month, you'll agree to let me go." "So do you know what that means?" Shin Young-myung charged towards them. "I'm sorry, everyone, if you don't go to hell, it'll be the one going," he shouted as he fought. "Don't blame me, you brought this on yourselves," one of them said. "Why should we be blamed?" This instantly enraged Shin Young-myung. "You have the nerve to say that? If you had dealt with him back then, how could I have been bullied like this? Now even you dare to defy me? Have you forgotten who I am? I'm Shin Young-myung, the top dog in the school. If I can't live a good life, then nobody wants to live a good life either." Seeing that Shin Young-myung was really going to kill them, Yao Mingzhi was filled with rage and evil intentions. He picked up a knife and stabbed Shin Young-myung in the back. "You've gone too far. We've all dropped out of school and started working because of your incompetence. Why are you turning around and retaliating against us?" At this moment, Shin Young-myung finally understood Jin Xiansheng's purpose in making him do this. He wanted to make them fight like dogs without Shin Young-myung intervening. The next day, news of Shin Young-myung's stabbing spread throughout the school. What surprised the students was that the murderer was Park Myung-chul, and both sides not only admitted to it, they admitted their mistakes and demanded to be sent to prison as soon as possible, saying they never wanted to be in Jinhai again. However, Kim Hyun-sung had no intention of letting them off the hook. He told Gao Chongfan of the Yum Brand's group that once these 4 people were released from prison, he would immediately send them back in. He didn't want them to experience a single day of normal life in this society. Gao Chongfan hadn't expected him to be even more terrifying than himself. "I absolutely don't want to be your enemy in the future," he said. "But I've been working at the grassroots level for a month as you instructed, and I haven't made any progress. I don't have that much patience to climb up step by step from the bottom." Kim Hyun-sung calmly advised him to persevere a little longer. "Just do as I say." It turns out that back when Kim Hyun-sung was still in a vegetative state, the real estate industry experienced a surge in home buying. Unfortunately, at a construction site owned by the Parkson Group, a falling object incident occurred. A worker was struck by a falling steel bar. Bystanders wanted to call the police and an ambulance, but the foreman prevented them. He didn't want the accident to delay the project and wanted to report it to his superiors before deciding what to do. 3 hours later, the worker was finally taken to the hospital. By the time his son arrived, his father had already passed away. The real estate company refused to treat the injury as a work-related injury. The company would not provide any compensation, which severely damaged the reputation of the Parkson Group and caused its stock price to plummet. Meanwhile, Gao Shangfan was strolling around the construction site, unaware that he was about to encounter the most important turning point in his life. He wanted to relax at a bar, but Jin Xiansheng's request for him must have a reason. Watching Jin Xiansheng send the school bully to his doom, he unconsciously began to fantasize that Gao Chang would suffer the same fate. Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside. Gao Changfan rushed out and found a concrete pouring collapse. The foreman said at least 5 or 6 people were buried inside. Don't worry, they'll contact headquarters immediately to control the situation and try to prevent the news from leaking out. Gao Changfan grabbed him. Don't you understand the situation? At the same time, he was shocked because Jin Xianxing had said that if you encounter a major accident at the grassroots level, you must not worry about immediate gains or losses, but put the injured workers first. Remember, human life is paramount. Gao Changfan immediately ordered him to call an ambulance, but the foreman said that doing so would be reported, and if it caused delays in the construction period, who would bear the losses? Gao Changfan said domineeringly, I'm in charge now. Call all the rescue teams over here. We will do everything in our power to rescue those buried underneath. I, Gao Changfan, will take full responsibility for all consequences. Gao Changfan had just followed Jin Xiansheng's advice and prioritized the safety of the workers. He was still wondering how such a serious accident could have occurred on the construction site. A worker wearing a white hat stepped forward and explained the reason the construction team, in order to meet the deadline, removed the scaffolding before the concrete had hardened. Not a single piece of concrete adhered to the reinforcing steel, which caused the large-scale collapse. If the concrete had been allowed to fully harden, this accident wouldn't have happened. Gao Changfan said, Why are you telling me all this now? The worker replied, I want to know. Do you think it's insignificant? Will you take responsibility for this accident? Gao Changfan's answer surprised him. Is this more important than human lives? Regardless of whether the building will have problems in the future, the most important thing now is to save lives. You have time to talk to me about this. You might as well go to the accident site and help. Thanks to the timely rescue, most of the construction workers were not in mortal danger. However, the company assistant was very worried because several online media outlets had reported the accident from a negative perspective, and the head office could no longer stop the news from spreading. Gao Changfan looked bewildered and said, How should I know? The assistant looked shocked. Didn't you already have a plan? I only made the decision to save lives because of the law. I didn't think about the best method. I just felt that human life was the most important thing, so I called for emergency help. I hadn't really thought about what to do next. Soon after, my father called. My assistant asked why I hadn't answered, and Gao Changfan told him not to worry about it. After my father finally stopped calling, Gao Changfan quickly called Jin Xianxing to ask what to do next. When he got home, his younger brother, Gao Changshi, began to berate him. Why didn't you report to your superiors before making this decision? Human life is important, but you've ruined our company's reputation. Did you even consider how much damage this will cause us? Will our properties sell in the future? If you don't go out, can you take responsibility for this? The father said, Because you called the police for help, the reporters got the news immediately. So how do you plan to handle this? Fortunately, Jin Xianxing told him on the phone earlier that your father is very particular about the quality of the building, but this time a safety accident has occurred. What do you think his reaction will be? He will definitely face all problems calmly and solve them, so you must inherit his spirit. At this moment, Gao Shangfan gave a shocking answer, prepared to tear down the entire project and start over. The father said sternly, Do you think the bank will lend us the project for free? The loan will incur interest, and with the costs already incurred, well, basically be losing money. Do you think it's necessary to do that? Gao Shangfan replied, I know. Although it will cause huge losses, our reputation is the most important thing. Recently, the news has reported many shoddy construction projects. Although Chung Real Estate Company makes money, their reputation is like a pariah, universally condemned. Under these circumstances, if we only repair the collapsed parts of the buildings, we definitely won't be able to sell them, and it might even lead to a bigger accident. Gao Changshi seized the opportunity to mock. Isn't this all your fault? Gao Changfan retorted domineeringly. Who is to blame is still undetermined. We can't do this now. Instead of focusing on financial losses, we must build high-quality buildings and rebuild our reputation. Now, only one building has collapsed, we can rebuild it. But if our image in the public eye collapses, we can never rebuild it. We must admit our mistakes promptly and show everyone our stringent quality standards. One day, our reputation will be restored, and that will become the foundation of our Baixing group. Gao Changshi jokingly asked if he was an idealist. He said our company pursues profit, not ideals. However, at that moment, the father said with satisfaction, My eldest son has finally grown up. What annoys me most about this accident isn't that there was no attempt to stop the news from spreading. Rather, it was an absurdity that we made such a basic mistake in the most fundamental engineering work. This kind of elementary error only tarnishes the reputation of our Baixing brand. A building is for living in, and the most important issue is, of course, safety. You did a great job this time. I thought you were wasting your days doing nothing, but I didn't expect you to become more and more like me as you grow up. I hope you can continue to maintain this, so I can confidently hand over the family business to you. Upon hearing this, Gao Changshi, the younger brother, was so angry he almost ground his teeth to powder. Afterwards, Gao Changfan again sought help from Jin Xianxing. Although his father told him to keep going, he had no idea what to do next. Jin Xianxing told him, You first, in dealing with the victims of this accident, there are two groups. The first group consists of homeowners. You need to promise them that you will cover the loan interest incurred due to the delayed delivery and compensate them for some expenses. Their complaints will quickly disappear. The second group consists of the injured workers. You need to sincerely and comprehensively resolve their livelihood problems caused by this accident, making them feel proud to work for the Parkson Group. Gao Changfan not only gave them a generous compensation payment, but also promised to send them to headquarters with important responsibilities after their recovery. This immediately moved the workers' families to tears. Through this experience, Gao Changfan learned a great deal. I used to treat the company like a money-making machine, only thinking about building houses and selling them as soon as possible. But now I see so many people who have given everything for it, people who want to support their families through this job, and people who have saved their whole lives to buy the houses we build. I didn't value my position enough before, only thinking about having fun every day. From now on, I can no longer live like that. The assistant hadn't expected the young master to have changed so much, but he felt somewhat unfamiliar with him. Suddenly, someone shouted loudly, No smoking here. Put it out right now. Gao Changfan immediately reverted to his true colors and yelled, Get out of here, or I'll smash the whole hospital. Under Kim Hyansung's guidance, Gao Changfan not only won praise from his father and everyone else, but also gained the approval of the workers. The usually arrogant Gao Changfan was somewhat unaccustomed to this, especially since some workers brought him homemade snacks. Although Gao Changfan complained about it, he found the feeling uncomfortable, but he did eat with a better appetite than usual. Just then, a subordinate ran over and said someone was looking for him outside, supposedly from a TV station, and that the head office had already agreed to the interview. Gao Changfan said, Then take them to film. However, the workers said they came to interview him, leaving Gao Changfan somewhat bewildered. Had he done something wrong again? Oh, it turns out that not long ago, a young man named Wu Zhanghe went to the TV station. His father, a construction worker, was unfortunately hit by a falling object at a construction site. He was furious about the real estate company's handling of the accident. Normally, after an accident, the first thing to do is call for help. But the person in charge insisted on reporting to superiors first. As a result, his father wasn't taken to the hospital until 3 hours later, and even then, it wasn't the closest hospital to the accident site. It was another hospital an hour's drive away. Ultimately, this led to his father's death. What's even more infuriating is that they haven't received a single penny of compensation. The real estate company's inhumane actions. The decision to proceed with the project was made to prevent delays and ensure early completion. Workers were seen as mere expendable resources. Wu Zhonghe didn't want anyone else to suffer like his father, so he mustered the courage to stand in front of the camera. He was also working on the construction site, where an accident had recently occurred. However, this real estate company's response was completely different from his father's. The person Wu Zhonghe was referring to was Gao Changfan, which was why the television station wanted to interview him. At that moment, Gao Changfan's father was watching a news report on television. The decision by Baixing Group to rebuild the building project shocked everyone, as it would only increase the company's losses. However, this also demonstrates the Parkson Group's determination to pursue high-quality real estate. The following is an interview with Gao Changfan. I heard you emphasize that human lives are more important than the losses. Moreover, you deeply realized that the company should be responsible for this accident and demanded a complete restart of construction. Why did you make such an unusual decision? Gao Changfan replied, I was simply following my father's teachings. From a young age, my father taught us that the business we do is not just about making money, but about carrying the weight of a family's legacy for a lifetime. At this moment, Gao Changfan's father's phone rang. The caller praised him for his excellent upbringing of his eldest son and decided to introduce his daughter to Gao Changfan. Just then, a matchmaking agency called, wanting to arrange blind dates for Gao Changfan with the daughters of a judge and a prosecutor. The father naturally didn't respond, because when he initially contacted them, they had clearly rejected him. He then told his secretary not to forward calls from matchmaking agencies anymore and inquired about the company's current situation. The secretary replied that many companies and organizations wanted to sign contracts with them. So far, several important contracts included several office buildings for the S Group, a 3,000-unit redevelopment project in the Jiangnan area, and the construction of a new urban area in the Jiangbei area. Furthermore, Jinhai City had also called, wanting to do everything they could. Sign the contract with us quickly. We've been discussing a 5,000-unit residential project, and we hope to announce the construction progress by next year. This is the opportunity the chairman has been eagerly awaiting. Soon after, Gao Changfan received a shocking notification his father, the chairman, was appointing him as the executive director of the Baixing Group. Everyone looked at him with fawning eyes, making Gao Changfan feel like he was dreaming. Usually, these people looked at him strangely. More importantly, they were clearly his younger brother Gao Changshi's people. His father had instructed him to participate in this project with Jinhai, even though it was a bit early, because he could learn a lot in the process. After Gao Changfan bowed deeply, he entrusted the matter to everyone. Kim Hyun-sung quickly learned of this, which made him somewhat flustered, as the situation had developed beyond his expectations. Involving Gao Changfan in the project was supposed to be a future event. The original plan was for Gao Changfan to solidify his position within the Baixing Group through this incident. However, the chairman directly promoted him to executive director. Kim Hyun-sung hadn't anticipated this situation at all. He now needed to predict future events and potential variables more accurately, and couldn't afford even a single mistake. Just then, a luxury car suddenly drove into the campus. Kim Hyun-sung recognized it as Gao Changfan. Why did he come to the school? He hadn't mentioned it in the text message. Gao Changfan went straight to the principal's office. I came to see you to thank you for taking care of my Mr. Kim these past few days, the principal said hypocritically. I was just doing what an educator should do, Gao Changfan replied. But I still want to express my gratitude. As the saying goes, courtesy begets courtesy. So I want to give you a gift, a new gymnasium for your school. A state-of-the-art gymnasium with a swimming pool. The principal was overjoyed. This was standard equipment for prestigious schools. He immediately flattered him, saying that the entire school would unconditionally support Kim Hyun-sung from now on. At this moment, Gao Chongfan said, "Could you call Kim Hyun-sung's homeroom teacher over? I heard you disciplined Shin Young-myung, and everyone's saying it's because you took my money. I want to say, don't worry about what others say. Since you chose my Hyun-sung, it'll guarantee you a smooth promotion at this school. I heard you like to relax at bars after get off work. I've already made arrangements with the biggest nightclub in the city, Heaven on Earth. Feel free to bring your friends. I, young Master Gao, will pay for everything. Besides, I've prepared a case of tea filled with money for you. Don't forget to take it home. From now on, remember this: those with a little money aren't the ones supporting you. Instead, it was the most powerful Parkson group in the entire Jinhai city." After the heir finished managing everything, Gao Chongfan and Jin Xianxing expressed their gratitude in person. "Since you want to help me become the chairman, it means you will definitely need my full support in the future. In that case, let's support each other and strive to give each other the greatest help. If you need anything now, just tell me. No matter what it is, I will do my best to help you." Jin Xianxing said without hesitation, "I need a lot of money." Soon after, the homeroom teacher announced some important news. Parkson Group had invested a large sum of money in the school, so the school was preparing to allocate 20 million won as scholarships. All students who listened attentively and showed promise had a chance to win. When the students heard it was 20 million, their eyes lit up. However, when the homeroom teacher announced that the first recipient was Kim Hyun-sung, they immediately became very upset. Everyone knew that the eldest son of the Parkson Group was Kim Hyun-sung's guardian. Why not just give it to him directly? Especially after the homeroom teacher said that the second recipient was Kim Soo-woo. The students were even more convinced of the inside story. While Kim Hyun-sung might have the Parkson Group backing him, he had still ranked first in the midterm exams. Who was Kim Soo-woo? Why did he get a scholarship? Was it simply because he was Kim Hyun-sung? Are you a friend? The students began speculating about Kim Hyun-sung's relationship with the Yum Brand's group. Some even wondered if he was the chairman's illegitimate son. The next second, the person who said this turned pale and turned to run away. It turned out Kim Hyun-sung was waiting for them around the corner. Having heard everything, Kim Hyun-sung beckoned to the student, gesturing for him to come closer. The student was terrified and almost cried, already anticipating his fate. However, Kim Hyun-sung didn't hit him. You're Zhao Zijin, known as the school radio station? Don't be afraid. Just do me a favor and you'll be fine. This scholarship selection, it's unfair. But you should know that there's no limit to the number of people selected. Anyone can get the award, even someone like you with poor grades. So, I need you to spread this message to every classmate and add something extra to it. The next day, all sorts of rumors started circulating at school. It was said that the Baixing Group established the scholarship to favor those close to Kim Hyun-sung. Only Kim Soo-woo stood up for Kim Hyun-sung, which is why he received the scholarship. And there's no limit to the number of people who can get it. Anyone on Kim Hyun-sung's side can get it. Rumor has it that he plans to use the school as a base to eliminate all the school bullies in Jinhai. The plan was to eliminate them, and Kim Hyun-sung even said that he would accept anyone willing to help him without holding grudges. Although everyone was skeptical, Bae Sung-go, the leader of the second-year students, took it very seriously. He hoped to get a scholarship like Kim Soo-woo, and he was fully capable of handling any henchman Kim Hyun-sung needed. Later, Bae Sung-go privately approached Jo Jae-jin to confirm the news. Jo Jae-jin said, "I'm only telling you this. Kim Hyun-sung wants to turn the school into his own kingdom and then use it as a foundation to sweep away all the surrounding schools. If anyone can step forward and demonstrate their strength, he will definitely award them a scholarship." Although Bae Sung-go knew the scholarship was substantial, he feared Kim Hyun-sung wouldn't accept him, the man who had once opposed him. However, he ultimately decided to give it a try, as the money was crucial to him. Bae Sung-go cautiously asked Kim Hyun-sung if he had time, and Kim Hyun-sung readily agreed, making Bae Sung-go a little nervous. He quickly apologized for the previous incident. Kim Hyun-sung told him to be direct, and Bae Sung-go explained that he desperately needed the money. He said, "If you want someone obedient and capable, consider this. I promise you won't be disappointed." Kim Hyun-sung immediately agreed, but first he needed to pass a test. Soon after, Bae Sung-go called over all the third-grade bullies. They thought he wanted to replace the sound bell and that the boss was going to set some rules for them. However, when Bae Sung-go appeared, they found that his face had been beaten so badly that his own mother wouldn't recognize him. Bae Sung-go said to everyone, "Listen up, you third grades. From today onwards, I'm Kim Hyun-sung's subordinate. Anyone who doesn't want to hang out with Kim Hyun-sung, raise your hand. But I'm going to beat up everyone who raises their hand." It turned out that the test Kim Hyun-sung was referring to was to beat him up without him being able to fight back. "What I need now is an obedient dog. Do whatever I tell you to do, and take whatever rewards I give you." Kim Hyun-sung beat him up like a dog. Although it hurt, seeing the money transferred to his card made it all worthwhile. He was even told that as a reward for being his underling, he'd get a scholarship tomorrow. He added that as long as he followed him, he'd continue to feed him, but if he broke the rules, he'd tear him to pieces. Pei Qinghao questioned himself, wondering if he was being too undignified. He'd been treated like a dog, but he had no choice. It was a whopping 5 million won more than he could earn in a lifetime through sheer physical labor. The third-year students were naturally indignant, and Pei Qinghao immediately used his fists to break the ice. You probably think I've been obedient because I can't beat you, right? That's because of that monster, Shin Young-myung, that I chose to endure. Now that Shin Young-myung is gone, you'd better consider your own strength. Remember this from now on. Kim Hyun-sung is our boss. Anyone who dares to disobey will be personally sent to hell by me. Finally, let me tell you something: the scholarship program that guarantees you a reward by currying favor with Kim Hyun-sung is true and effective. So, from now on, you must unconditionally fawn over our boss, and he will generously reward you. The next day, when Park Jin-woo heard about this, he thought Bae Sung-go had gone mad. He had offended Kim Hyun-sung before, and now had just stolen someone's dog. And besides, Kim Hyun-sung couldn't possibly have given him that much money from the start. Then he noticed a large crowd of students gathered around the bulletin board, which clearly stated that Bae Sung-go was the scholarship recipient. Park Jin-woo instantly broke out in a cold sweat. What was Kim Hyun-sung's relationship with the Yum Brands group? Bae Sung-go was one thing, but why did that kid from the broadcasting station, Jo Jae-jin, also get a scholarship? Jo Jae-jin told him, "I only got the scholarship because I listened to Kim Hyun-sung. I'm just giving you a friendly reminder you'd better be careful in the future. Don't mess with Kim Hyun-sung, or you'll end up like Shin Young-ryung." Park Jin-woo hadn't expected that Kim Hyun-sung really wanted to turn Kienil School into, "If he establishes his own kingdom, how can I go to school peacefully?" Due to the changed situation, the client who commissioned the Golden Circle was unhappy. "I only commissioned you because I heard the Golden Circle is very capable. If you still can't deal with Kim Hyun-sung, I'll tell the other members that the Golden Circle's abilities are exaggerated," the agent confidently said. "Don't worry, we will definitely succeed this time." It turned out they had sent the Golden Circle's rising star, Choi Tae-jun, as a transfer student to Kienil School to eliminate Kim Hyun-sung. The principal was initially extremely unwilling to accept this, knowing that this person was after Kim Hyun-sung. But the city's education, the director specifically asked Choi Tae-jun to claim that the education supervisor was a friend of his father. However, the principal didn't believe it at all. This kind of forced enrollment would be punished if reported, so why were they doing it? Was he sent by the Golden Circle? Even if that were the case, the principal couldn't let him run rampant here. The principal warned him, "Our Kienil School is the best prestigious school. If you violate school rules, even if your father is a friend of the education department, I won't show you any leniency." Choi Tae-jun was dismissive of this show of force. When he arrived at his assigned class, he unexpectedly ran into an old acquaintance, Park Jin-woo, who was 6 months old. Previously, Choi Tae-jun, who had just joined the Golden Circle, wanted to expand his network. At the time, he thought Park Jin-woo was useless, but now he could learn about the school from him. Park Jin-woo said that the school wasn't anything special, but there was one thing he needed to be careful about. There was a guy named Kim Hyun-sung, and he absolutely shouldn't mess with him. Not only was he a great fighter, but he also had a powerful background. Choi Tae-jun scoffed. Didn't you say you were the boss? Why are you so afraid of him? Park Jin-woo awkwardly replied, Don't worry about it. Just don't mess with him. The Golden Circle's task for Choi Tae-jun was to get Kim Hyun-sung to drop out of the school within 6 months, which was a very simple task for Choi Tae-jun. So what if he was constantly bullied and the school became a terrifying place for him? Therefore, his plan was to first find an opportunity to beat Kim Hyun-sung up and then incite all the students to isolate him. This kind of task wouldn't take half a year. He could expel Kim Hyun-sung from the school in less than a month. Choi Tae-jun's confidence wasn't unfounded. In the Golden Circle, only a handful of people nationwide could achieve its rank, and a rank was only attainable by the top one, and a rank was above the national average. Although Choi Tae-jun was a first-year student, he had also achieved a rank in the Golden Circle test. He asked Park Jin-woo to take him on a tour. Unfortunately, Kim Hyun-sung was in the same class as Park Jin-woo, and Park Jin-woo immediately had a bad feeling. Wei Tae-jun immediately started picking a fight with him. You bastard. Why are you looking at me? Park Jin-woo was instantly frightened and his face changed drastically. Kim Hyun-sung said, You're being too obvious. I wasn't even looking at you. Are you trying to pick a fight with me on purpose? But you'd better think about whether you can bear the consequences. Before Choi Tae-jun could speak, someone slapped him hard across the face. The scene before Choi Tae-jun completely stunned him. Park Jin-woo was kneeling on the ground begging for forgiveness. I brought him here for no reason. This kid deliberately started it. Please, just let me off this time. Choi Tae-jun was full of question marks. I treated you like a friend, and you betrayed me like that. Park Jin-woo stood up and rushed forward. You're just a newcomer, a transfer student, and you dare to cause trouble for Hyun-sung? You're disgusting. But Park Jin-woo was no match for Choi Tae-jun in a heated confrontation. Have you forgotten who I am? I single-handedly took down the entire wrestling club, a level assassin recruited by the Golden Circle at 17. I can knock down trash like you with one punch, and you still dare to offend me? Kim Hyun-sung watched the show from the sidelines. The situation was indeed quite funny. Choi Tae-jun didn't expect this guy to be so arrogant. You won't get away with this today. He walked out of the school alive. But then the bell rang for class. Choi Tae-jun could only utter a harsh threat. You'll see after school. I'm the kind of person who always gets revenge. Back in the classroom, Choi Tae-jun suddenly sensed something was off. His classmates and teacher kept turning around to glare at him. And when the teacher asked the students to discuss in groups of 4, no one paid any attention to him. Even when the teacher forced others to group with Choi Tae-jun, it was met with strong opposition from the students. Choi Tae-jun couldn't understand what these idiots were up to. After class, he stopped a bespectacled boy who seemed easy to bully, intending to use this pushover to give the whole class a hard time. Just then, Bae Sung-go stormed in with his men. Who's the transfer student? Step forward. This is Kianil High School. No one at Kianil can lay a hand on Hyun-sung. Choi Tae-jun was utterly exasperated. Had everyone at this school taken drugs? Why were they all so supportive of Kim Hyun-sung? Bae Sung-go threw a punch in retaliation, but Choi Tae-jun delivered an elbow strike that sent him flying. Seeing Bae Sung-go charging back like an unkillable cockroach, Choi Tae-jun was completely enraged. He couldn't understand why everyone was standing up for Kim Hyun-sung. Bae Sung-go was struck hard in the chin by a heavy punch, yet he still didn't fall. Choi Tae-jun thought he had missed, but if that was the case, then he'd throw another punch. Then he grabbed his head and slammed it heavily onto the table, finally knocking Bae Ching-hao down. Choi Taijun thought this would be enough to make an example of him, but instead of being intimidated, the others swarmed him. Choi Taijun hadn't expected them to be so shameless. Wasn't a onion duel the most basic principle? A bunch of little karaomi, come at me all at once. Then someone even launched a sneak attack from behind. Choi Taijun cursed, "You've really lost all shame in your pursuit of victory. Now you're the only one left, aren't you?" Suddenly, 3 more people appeared from behind, and he actually knocked Pei Qinghao down. "Then let's all come at me," Choi Taijun declared. "Come on, all of you. Let me take you all down at once." "It's decided." Pei Qinghao stood up again. Choi Taijun said, "You should lie down. Why are you so loyal to a first-year student?" Pei Qinghao replied, "What bullshit loyalty? That's not important at all. After beating up the third-year school bully that day, I received a reward from Gao Chongfan that evening. Now I'm thinking, what if I also take down the people sent by the Golden Circle? They would have given more than 1 million or 2. Even if I didn't kill them, they would definitely be generous and pay up without hesitation." Pei Qinghao said to everyone, "This guy is a monster even more powerful than Sheningming. We might not be able to beat him even if we all attack together, but even so, we can't give up. Otherwise Hyunsung will be disappointed in us." Bei Sungo earned 5 million won by being Hyunsung's punching bag, received another 10 million won in scholarships, and was given 1 million won in pocket money. He earned so much in just a few days. How could he possibly leave Hyunsung and give up these benefits? Bei Sungo led 10 second-year students and rushed forward in a swarm, but in the end, they still couldn't defeat Choi Taijun. He was no match for him, and on his first day at the new school, he grew tired of it. It was like a religious organization. Normal people wouldn't fight to the death if they couldn't win, but Bei Sungo and those people were like madmen. If there were more madmen like that, if he did that, he'd be in danger. Continuing like this, there was no way to isolate Kim Hyunsung. That guy had built the school like an impregnable fortress. Since that was the case, there was only one way left: a direct breakout. If they could just break one of Kim Hyunsung's arms, the middleman could give the higher-ups an explanation. Just as Choi Taijun stepped out of the classroom, someone deliberately bumped into him. Unexpectedly, it was Kim Hyunsung's homeroom teacher. It seemed he was going to punish Choi Taijun. Just half a minute earlier, Park Jin-woo had told him everything that had happened. The homeroom teacher asked if Kim Hyunsung had said what to do next. Park Jin-woo said he told them to figure it out themselves. This put the homeroom teacher in a bind. It's difficult, but no matter what, I can't let Choi Taijun off easily. Now is my chance to prove myself, and this is an opportunity to get closer to him. So, the homeroom teacher decided to teach him a lesson. After dragging Choi Taijun to the office, he immediately slapped him hard across the face. Choi Taijun cursed, "Damn it, why did you hit me? You hit a student for no reason. Do you still want to be a teacher? They'll get you removed right now." The homeroom teacher said, "I think you're about to die, and you still don't understand the situation. On your first day at this school, you beat up a classmate so badly he ended up in the hospital, and you even knocked down all the upperclassmen. The whole school is in a state of panic because of you. Now you dare threaten a teacher? Go ahead and complain to your father, that powerful friend of yours. Do you think he can make me lose my job through this? Don't be naive. I've dealt with countless thugs like you. No matter what you do, no one will believe you. Not a single person in this office will stand up to testify for you. I can beat you up however I want, but you can't produce any evidence that I hit you." This punch was from Park Jin-woo. This punch was from Bei Sungo, and this slap was from someone else. That night, Choi Taijun called the middleman. "The whole school is full of lunatics. Teachers and students alike are all acting crazy." He became very abnormal, like he was under the influence of drugs. "I couldn't handle it alone." The middleman hadn't expected this matter to be so difficult. If he failed to complete the task, his position would be ruined. He told Choi Taijun to protect himself first, and that he would come up with a solution immediately. Afterward, the middleman went to the city and found the director of the Education Bureau. He said that the principal of Tianri School was not giving any face and hoped that the director could put some pressure on their superiors. The city's education supervisor, Wen Chonghao, immediately called the education supervisor of Jinhai. He said, "I heard that the teachers at Tianri School are taking good care of a student. I wonder if you can step in and resolve this?" However, the other party said rudely, "You're the education supervisor of the city. Why are you interfering in Jinhai's affairs? Don't you know this is overstepping your authority?" When Chonghao retorted, "Do you think I don't know about the corruption in Jinhai's education sector? Since you're not giving me face, don't blame me for exposing you all." However, the Jinhai education supervisor revealed the existence of the Golden Circle. "If we fight each other to the death, are you confident you can survive? I advise you to stop now. Neither you nor I will have a good ending if we tear each other apart." It turned out that the Jinhai education supervisor, Principal Tianri's elder brother, was actually a little afraid. The Golden Circle was not an organization to be trifled with. "I'm afraid neither of us will fare well." It was the principal who reassured him not to worry, saying that Gao Chongfan, the next chairman of the Baixing Group, is the one who can bring us real benefits. He also said not to be afraid that our corruption would be exposed, and that the child we were currently taking special care of was even smarter than we imagined. He assured him that he would definitely not lose his position in the education department. The next day, transfer student Chui Taijun experienced isolation for the first time. Everyone else went to PE class, but no one told him, and people talked about him behind his back wherever he went. Chui Taijun finally couldn't take it anymore. He immediately sent a message, asking all his brothers in the city to gather in Jinhai and then try to win over the surrounding schools. The people were pressuring Tianri, believing this would isolate Kim Hyun-sung. That day, Choi Taijun was having lunch when Kim Hyun-sung suddenly appeared and sat down in front of him. This stirred a restless desire in Choi Taijun. Perhaps he should just kill him now? Kim Hyun-sung said, "I heard that Kim Hae's school district will teach you a lesson." Choi Taijun scoffed. "You think you're so great, ruling like an emperor in this small place? But if you leave the school and fight me unknown, you're nothing." At that moment, someone suddenly pushed him down onto his plate from behind. "Since you know him, Tianri's local tyrant, why do you still dare to stay here? Where do you get the guts to running wild on someone else's turf?" Choi Taijun was forcibly dragged to a secluded spot. He cursed, "You're using numbers to overwhelm me. Don't you feel ashamed?" Kim Hyun-sung retorted, "I admit you're very strong. You're a Blevel assassin. If our strength were similar, I would try my best to defeat you, but I can't beat you right now. So I'll close the gap between us. Give me the order." At his command, his henchmen began to beat him mercilessly. At this moment, Park Jinwoo shouted, "Get out of the way!" Choi Taijun instantly felt like his back was about to break. Before he could recover from the intense pain, Bae Sungo's fists followed in quick succession. Despite being injured and surrounded by his men, under attack, even the most skilled Choi Taijun was struggling to retaliate. Just as he was about to escape this predicament, Kim Hyun-sung suddenly clamped his arm with a scissor kick. "If you were missing an arm, I probably could beat you, right?" A crisp sound of bones breaking rang out, followed by Choi Taijun's heart-wrenching scream. He trembled and said, "You're a madman." Kim Hyun-sung grabbed him. "Now I'm giving you two choices. First, you can follow your original plan and complete the Golden Circle's mission, but it'll cripple your left arm as well, making you suffer hellish torment at school every day. Second, you can become my subordinate and deceive the Golden Circle. You've become my undercover agent, and now you're on my mission?" Choi Taijun, of course, won't admit defeat until he's faced with the truth. "You think I'd betray the Golden Circle? You're dreaming." Kim Hyun-sung suddenly looked at Bae Sungo. "If I give you 100 million, do you dare stab him in the back? If you don't, I'll find someone else. I don't mean you have to actually kill him. I'll call an ambulance immediately. You just need to ensure he recovers with some after effects." Everyone present was shocked. Seeing their silence, Kim Hyun-sung said, "You need to think carefully. How long would it take you to save 100 million just by working? But I can give it to you right now. In about 3 seconds. And we're still students. This level of injury, even if he went in, wouldn't be locked up for long. We'd all tell the police it wasn't intentional, that it was an accidental stab while joking. Anyway, in Jinhai, nobody would believe him. Pei Qinghao finally relented. You said before, right? As long as I do my duty, I'll get a reward. Kim Hyunsung stated that this was just a deal. Pei Qinghao readily accepted the deal. You guys hold him tight. Don't stab the wrong place later. Seeing that the other party was serious, Choi Taijun hurriedly shouted, I choose the second one. Kim Hyunsung stopped Pei Qinghao in time. For your determination just now, I will give you a reward. I'll let him go for now as a reward. Kim Hyunsung said. He then revealed Choi Taijun's home address and that he had a younger sister. He warned Choi Taijun, I'm more ruthless than you think. Anyone who dares to interfere with me will face my wrath. I'll tear their life to shreds. I'll ask you one last time, do you want to stay in the golden circle? Or become my underling? Choi Taijun finally felt fear. He lowered his head and said, I choose to become your underling. Kim Hyunsung stroked his head, as if soothing a dog. Your choice is wise. Bae Sungo asked worriedly, won't there be a problem letting him go like this? Kim Hyunsung replied that if he dared to break his promise, it'll make him understand what the consequences will be. After school, check your account, and it'll transfer your reward to you. Bring Zhao Zhaijin here immediately, but don't let anyone else know. The next day, Zhao Zhaijin, nicknamed Broadcaster, spread a rumor that Kim Hyunsung and Bae Sungo had fallen out. Now, even if someone criticizes Kim Hyunsung, Bae Sungo won't stand up for him. Soon, some people believed it and were hesitating about whether to isolate Kim Hyunsung. But all of this was bait thrown out by Kim Hyunsung. He was waiting for the mastermind behind the scenes to appear. After a fierce struggle between the two brothers, Gao Chongfan, with Kim Hyunsung's help, successfully became the company's standing director. Gao Chong couldn't sit still any longer and convened an emergency meeting of senior management. Now that I'm a standing director, my father will soon hand over the chairmanship to Gao Chongfan. We've invested so much time and effort these past few days. Are we really willing to give up? At this moment, Jin Zhijin, an internal board member sitting to the side, spoke up. Judging from Gao Chongfan's recent actions, there must be a mastermind behind him, someone we don't know, meticulously planning everything for him. Your previous affair was definitely exposed after someone reported it. Gao Chongfan is the only beneficiary of this. And then there's his sudden decision to work on a construction site. Starting from the bottom, the way the accident at the construction site was handled also won the chairman's approval. Do you think the old Gao Chongfan could have done this? These things definitely weren't accidental. Someone must have planned them in advance. Now we need to use all resources to find the person behind this. For the next few days, Gao Chongshi secretly followed Gao Chongfan 247. However, after several days, Gao Chongfan spent his days drinking beer and eating barbecue with a group of brothers, and they found almost no useful clues. This made him extremely annoyed with his subordinates' inefficiency. Just then, someone discovered that Gao Chongfan's expenditures were somewhat abnormal. With a large sum of money, the information flowed into a school called Tianri, which included a gymnasium with a 24-hour heated swimming pool and an angel scholarship of up to 20 million. However, Gao Chongshi dismissed this important clue, saying that the guy was born to squander money. A few years ago, he even got beaten up by his grandfather for paying off gambling debts for a bar girl. Delete this irrelevant content quickly. I don't have time to waste here. Just then, Gao Changshi's phone rang. Seeing that it was an unknown number, Gao Chongshi didn't pay attention. Immediately afterward, a text message came in which read, I am the person who helped Gao Chongfan become the executive consul. I want to talk to you. It would be convenient for us to meet, Gao Chongfan said. A few days ago, Gao Chongfan noticed someone was following him and called Jin Xianxing, warning him to be careful. I'm afraid Gao Chongfan's people might harm you recently. Jin Xianxing said with a wicked grin. You're afraid he'll abandon you to help Gao Changfan, aren't you? Gao Changfan was startled and quickly said, How could that be? Jin Xianxing asked, Do you trust me? If you trust me, find me a properly configured phone number. At this moment, Gao Changfan asked Jin Zhejing what to do after finding the person behind the scenes. Jin Zhejing said there were two options: either recruit him to their side and defeat Gao Changfan, or if he refused to join, they would have to kill him. Then, Gao Changshi called Jin Xianxing and directly invited him to join his camp. Gao Changfan only has a diploma from a mediocre university, Gao Changshi said, while I graduated from a prestigious overseas university. Gao Changfan used to spend all his time in bars, while I have accumulated a lot of work experience at Yum Brands. So Gao Changfan's chances of becoming chairman are almost zero. You know that's an unchangeable fact, which is why you called me, right? Jin Xianxing said he could agree, but he had one condition. Before Gao Changshi could even finish listening, he agreed, I'm prepared to meet all your demands. Back at the headquarters, when everyone asked him about the outcome of the negotiation, Gao Changshi said he hadn't made any special requests, he just wants a board position, said Director Jin Zhejing. Panicked, we don't even know who he is or what his purpose is. You're already planning to give him the board position? I think you need to think carefully. During the private event, he suddenly slammed his fist on the table and roared, What right do you have to talk to me like that? What did you all do when that guy exposed my past? What does a board position matter to a capable person wanting to join our company? Don't just focus on the immediate future. You need to have a broader perspective. Jin Zhejing stated, This matter isn't that simple. Baixing Group is a company that adheres to tradition. Our senior management has dedicated over 20 years to the company. Gao Changshi he was interrupted. Don't say any more. It's precisely because of these traditional ideas that our development is being hindered. Once I become chairman, this company will undergo a complete transformation. You only need to remember one thing: after I become chairman, I will definitely give everyone here the compensation they deserve. Isn't that enough? Jin Zhejing never dreamed that her unconditional support would end up costing her even her position. She knew that the selfish and arrogant Gao Changshi wasn't a good person either, but compared to Gao Changfan, who didn't care about the company, Gao Changshi at least tried. At that moment, her phone received a call from an unknown number. The caller said they had heard Gao. After Changxi's decision, are you feeling very upset? To be honest, from the beginning, I wasn't interested in becoming a director of the company. I just wanted to tell you the difference between Gao Changshi and Gao Changfan. Baixing Group is a company that adheres to tradition. Not just anyone can become a director. If Gao Changshi understood the chairman's meaning, he wouldn't have easily agreed to let me sit on the board. Therefore, I hope you can help Gao Changfan. The current Gao Changfan is not the scoundrel he used to be. Jin Zhejing said, I can't do such a betrayal. This isn't betrayal. I just don't want you to have worked so hard for decades, only to be betrayed in the end. A few days after being abandoned, Jin Zhejing found Gao Changfan and asked him directly who was behind him. Gao Changfan replied that he couldn't tell him. Jin Zhejing didn't press further but instead talked about Gao Changfan's childhood. I remember you always liked to go to the construction site with the chairman when you were little. Once you even helped us carry bricks and you fell down. I almost had a heart attack from the fright. Whenever I saw you growing up healthy by the chairman's side, my mood would improve. So I had high expectations for you. But you changed as you grew up. The Baixing Group is growing stronger, while you spend your days eating, drinking, having fun, and causing trouble. So I felt that you were not suitable to be the chairman and should be replaced. I chose Gao Changshi, who is more hardworking and ambitious because, like your father, I have dedicated everything to the Baixing Group. I can't hand the company over to a spoiled brat who can even lose his status as the eldest son. But since recently you've changed, it doesn't matter who's helping you, as long as you can create results for the company. That's enough. So the Baixing Group needs you, and I'm entrusting the future to you. Not long ago, Pei Qinghao and Jin Xianxing put on a good show, and everyone thought they had a falling out. the school started secretly taking sides again. In the mock exams that just ended in November, Jin Xianxing achieved excellent results again, and the principal even arranged for him to be the school's representative. When asked about his classmates' learning experiences and secrets to success, Kim Hyun-sung humbly replied that it was all hidden gems. He explained that the academic atmosphere at the university was excellent, everyone studied diligently, and there was no need to attend after-school tutoring classes. He was furious, his teeth practically grinding together. He sought out Choi Tae-jun to inquire about the situation, but Choi Tae-jun was Hyun-sung's mole and wouldn't tell him the truth. The middleman warned him that this was his last chance and hoped he would seize it. A day later, Choi Tae-jun found Kim Hyun-sung and told him some information. He already had 3 people in mind who fit the criteria for the commission. The first was Yoo Jin-young, who was the top student in the entire school before he arrived, and whose family, he's also quite wealthy. Because my grades improved, he probably dislikes me. The second person is Lee Jinheng, whom I beat up at the beginning of the semester. Although he's insecure and despicable, his dad owns a pig farm of tens of thousands of square meters. The last one is Choi Shania. She initially had better grades than me, but I surpassed her later. Her dad is a high-ranking civil servant. After several days of observation, I narrowed it down to one person. The next day, everyone was having soccer class, and a girl nearby was hesitating about whether to confess to Xianxing. This girl became Xianxing's prime suspect. Wu Huizhi, next to Choi Shania, reminded her, Xian Xianxing is currently the #1 bully on the school's bully list. You am determined to date him, Choi Suna innocently declared, adding that it was those people who started causing him trouble. She then stepped forward to confess her feelings. Kim Hyun-sung smiled slightly and said, I also had something to say to you. Let's find a secluded place to sit. With the next class about to start, and the 2 of them still not back, Oh Hyeji became very worried. Suddenly, she received a distress text from Suna. It turned out that Kim Hyun-sung had taken her to the gym storage room. At first, she wasn't too scared. After all, he was a good student and shouldn't do anything inappropriate. But then Kim Hyun-sung suddenly locked the door and asked, Something has happened to me recently. Do you know why? Because someone was directing them, I set a trap and conveyed some information to the 3 people I suspected. To the first person, I told them I was too tired lately and was considering transferring schools. If they were the mastermind, they would be very happy. To the second person, I told them I had a falling out with Pei Qinghao. If they were the mastermind, they would immediately come after me. And to you, I told them I was very tired but could manage. If you were the mastermind, you would definitely urge the Golden Circle to act quickly. After hearing all this, what are your thoughts? Soon after Wu Huizhi arrived, he was anxious. Wu Huizhi hurriedly asked Choi Suna what had happened and if Kim Hyun-sung had bullied her. Kim Hyun-sung, who had been hiding behind her, said, Choi Suna, you go out first. Under Wu Huizhi's puzzled gaze, Choi Suna obediently went out. Kim Hyun-sung immediately closed the door, saying, Wu Huizhi, you need to stay. Although Choi Suna was highly suspicious for one reason, he was certain she wasn't the client. It turned out that Kim Hyun-sung had commissioned Gao Chongfan to investigate the backgrounds of 3 people, and Choi Suna had a special connection. Her brother had committed suicide due to being bullied by classmates. Therefore, her parents moved to Jinhai for her safety. Thus, Choi Suna, he also deeply hates those school bullies. After hearing about my experience, he said he would definitely cheer me on because I bravely faced the violence. So there's only one conclusion. Choi Suna told the person behind her the false information he knew. That person is you, isn't it, you brat? Wu Huizhi broke free from his grasp and ran out. I don't know why you suspect me, but it really wasn't me. However, the door was locked from the outside. Turning around, she advised him to calm down. Our relationship hasn't always been good, so why would I do that? It must have been Choi Suna who asked me to do it. She saw your grades improved, so she started complaining. You know, his father was a high-ranking public official, and the Golden Circle was associated with such people. Kim Hyun-sung hadn't expected this guy to confess so readily. I've never mentioned the golden circle to you. Once exposed, Ohayaji no longer tried to hide it. Damn it, this is all your fault. If you hadn't been so cold to me, this wouldn't have happened. It turned out that a few months ago, Ohayaji had fallen for Kim Hyun-sung at first sight. Not only was he handsome, but he was also a genius in every way: personality, grades, and athletics. However, the problem was that other girls were also interested in him, but all their confessions were rejected by him. Therefore, Ohayaji feared that her popularity would also rejected by him. She decided to test the waters first, not by confessing directly. Seeing how enthusiastically Kim Hyun-sung always helped her with her problems, Ohayaji assumed he wasn't averse to her. She even asked a friend to inquire about his ideal type of girl. Kim Hyun-sung replied that it would be someone like Hyaji, adding, "I like cheerful people." This gave Ohayaji confidence. She prepared gifts and love letters and confessed to Kim Hyun-sung in person. However, she was still rejected. Having grown up in a wealthy family, this rejection was the first time in her life she had experienced setbacks, and it caused her to develop a strong aversion to Kim Hyun-sung. So, what do you think? Did you hire Golden Circle to get revenge on me? Woo Hueji shouted angrily. Didn't you say I was your ideal type? Why don't you like me and still try to seduce me? But I didn't expect things to get this serious. I just wanted you to feel the same despair as me. I'll never do this again. Please let me go this time. He reached out his hand and said, I didn't reject you because I hate you. I don't have time to date other people. I can't afford the snacks and electronic devices you buy so casually. Even if I like you, I have to reject you. Wu Hueji seemed to see a glimmer of hope. Why didn't you tell the truth back then? If you had told me, I wouldn't have. If things have come to this, can we still be like before? Kim Hyun-sung suddenly grabbed her hair. It's too late. It'll tear you to shreds. Everything you enjoy, it'll shred. You'll never understand why I'm so cruel, why I've gone this far. The reason I haven't become a vegetable or caused my whole family to suffer for 10 years in hell is because I've gritted my teeth and kept fighting. The kind of person who pushed me into hell and is now watching from behind is someone like you. You'd better find a good plastic surgeon. At this moment, the homeroom teacher suddenly appeared, and the scene before him shocked him. So you've started hitting women now? Kim Hyun-sung explained that he was the one who commissioned Golden Circle. The homeroom teacher immediately changed his attitude. If he really is Golden Circle's client, although the beating was quite severe, he should indeed pay the price for his mistakes. I will try my best to handle the aftermath. However, Kim Hyun-sung said, you don't need to handle the aftermath. Just take him home. Seeing his daughter almost disfigured from the beating, Woo Chun-sen roared angrily, I will make you pay. Kim Hyun-sung, Gao Chong-fan, I will send them all to prison. But before that, he wanted to question the idiot in Golden Circle about why he had exposed himself. However, the phone was always busy. At this moment, Kim Hyun-sung had already called Golden Circle's middleman in the city. Seeing his beloved daughter beaten beyond recognition, possibly never to be seen again, Woo Chun-san angrily called Golden Circle's middleman, demanding, my daughter's face has been slapped like this. You have to take full responsibility. Didn't you guarantee you'd never fail? I'm going to tell the other clients about this. The middleman, Jung Chan-ju, however, was indifferent. If you're unhappy, go ahead and say so. Our deal ended a long time ago. Like you said, Golden Circle has never failed. But since I've already set this precedent, what will be the outcome? They'll definitely die a horrible death. But to save my own life, I gave Kim Hyun-sung all the details of our transaction and the evidence. Upon hearing this, Woo Chun-san angrily said, if we're going to die, we'll all die together. I'll report you first, then expose the existence of the Golden Circle. Nobody will survive. Jung Chan-ju didn't continue the argument and hung up the phone. He did this because Kim Hyun-sung had called before Woo Chun-san. Kim Hyun-sung asked him if he was the Golden Circle's middleman in the city. Jung Chan-ju replied, I just took Woo Hueji home. Jung Chan-ju immediately realized that Choi Tae-jun had betrayed him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known about the commission. The person was Woo Hueji, and she even had her own phone number. Kim Hyun-sung said, "You've exposed the client's identity and become a threat to the Golden Circle. The only thing the Golden Circle can do now is to shut you and Woo Chun-san up forever." Just then, two assassins appeared behind Young Chon-ju. Kim Hyun-sung continued, "Do you want to live? If you want to live, report to your superiors that the mission was successfully completed and that you've taken care of me. The client is very satisfied." Then Choi Tae-jun also completed his mission. At this moment, after Woo Chun-san and Young Chon-ju finished their phone call, the doorbell rang. When they opened the door, the person who walked in surprised them. Terrified, the man was none other than Kim Hyun-sung. He entered and sat directly on the sofa, then ordered Woo Chun-san to stop talking nonsense and sit down immediately. "I'm giving you two choices," he said. "First, take revenge on me. In that case, you need to report this to the police. If you do, I will release all the information Young Chon-ju gave me. However, the Golden Circle won't disappear because of this. On the contrary, you and Young Chon-ju will definitely be eliminated. You will be sent to prison, and Woo Hueji will also be suspected of breaking the law. This is the future of you and your daughter. Even more interestingly, you will be sentenced to at least 3 years, while your daughter will at most spend a few months in prison. You think that while you're away, Woo Hueji, what will happen to you? Without your father's real power, do you think he'll let Woo Hueji go?" Woo Chun-san shouted angrily. "Are you threatening us? Do you think you'll get away with this?" Jin Xianxing confidently replied, "You can't hurt me. I have Gao Chongfan behind me. He'll have Gao Chongfan break Wu Huizi's legs for his eyes." This terrified Wu Huiji, causing her to tremble and lose control of her bladder and bowels. Jin Xianxing reached behind his back and said, "You have a second choice." He then pulled out a knife and threw it on the ground. "You do it yourself. Make sure this brat can never do bad things outside again." After saying this, Jin Xianxing turned and left. His mother cursed, "What are you saying? Are you crazy? Husband, call the police immediately. He's already gone out. I told you to call the police right away." However, Woo Chun-san knelt on the ground, staring intently at the knife. That guy was right. If this gets out, he'll definitely go to jail. How can we deal with Baixing Group and Gao Chongfan? Who will take responsibility for my family and my career? If it weren't for me, could you protect Hueji? Didn't I tell you before not to spoil the child? Seeing this, Wu Hueji hurriedly ran away. She saw madness in her father's eyes. To protect his power and status, Woo Chun-san was willing to betray his own family. No matter how much Wu Hueji cried out, it was to no avail. Zhang Kenju, even if Woo Chun-san chooses the second path, you don't intend to end it like this. Kim Hyun-sung says, "I will expose all his illegal activities. If Woo Chun-san dares to retaliate, I will call the police and accuse him of domestic violence. That way, Wu Huizi's family will be left with nothing. He will become disabled and live a lonely life." Young Chon-ju didn't expect this guy to be so cruel. However, the Golden Circle will eventually find out the whole truth. Kim Hyun-sung says, "So I want to make a deal with you. That is, like a Trojan horse, I will infiltrate your ranks and become an undercover agent. You follow the Golden Circle for money, right? Why don't you make money through me?" Young Chon-ju doesn't agree. Jin was amused by his audacity. "You only have the Yum Group behind you, and you dare to be so arrogant?" he asked. "I admit," Jin replied, "I joined the Golden Circle to enter high society because the Golden Circle has the power. I entrusted my secret to you because I was afraid of the Golden Circle. You want me to trust you and do such a high-risk thing with the Yum Group? It's impossible." Kim Hyun-sung suddenly uttered the word Celestial Realm. "If I'm in charge of the members of Celestial Realm for the next 2 years," he said, "Celestial Realm is the most elite client of the Golden Circle. Those people are the most powerful among the Chaebol. The Golden Circle of Chaebol has the highest level intermediaries specifically responsible for the members of Celestial Realm. Because the people of the Celestial Realm are of a very high rank, the intermediaries responsible for them receive huge rewards. Most importantly, These intermediaries are also considered members of the celestial realm. Yung Chanju was surprised that he knew so much. So, what can you do to make me a dedicated intermediary for the celestial realm? She asked. Kim Hyun-sung replied, just remain silent for the next month. After that month, you'll get what you want. Kim Hyun-sung knew so much because in a few years, everyone would know about this incident. Society called it the Golden Gate. But the list of celestial realm members was never made public, and the matter remained unresolved. The matter was dropped, so simply dismantling the Golden Circle wasn't enough, because the dirty wealth and power that formed it wouldn't collapse easily. From now on, I need to move on to the next step of the plan. Therefore, Kim Hyun-sung approached Kim Pan-ho, a legislator from the expo. When Kim Pan-ho was still a professor, he had given many favors to the children of powerful figures, thus accumulating a considerable network of connections. Relying on these connections, he successfully became a legislator for the Prosperity Party. However, recently, a member of the opposing party's account committee exposed Kim Pan-ho's corruption. Kim Hyun-sung had been waiting for this moment, and Kim Pan-ho was now desperately hoping for his help. Hyun-sung said, "This committee member has no prior dealings with you, so why is he questioning and attacking you like this? It's not good for his own political career at all. Therefore, I believe he must be acting under orders to attack you. And the person who asked him is Yang Ming, a star figure from the same party as you. Committee member, you're currently enjoying great success, and he wants to get rid of you. But since he's from the same party, if it's discovered, he'll face pressure from all sides within the party. So he's instigating an account from the opposing party to attack you. This way, all the accusations will be easier to believe because he's a committee member from the opposing party." Kim Tan-ho stated, "I understand everything you've said. So, how do you want to help me solve this? Whoever raises the issue will address it. Soon, the news will report on the case of overseas students using ketamine. One of the students' identities hasn't been revealed. Coincidentally, committee member Zhang Hao's son is also studying abroad. If you make good use of this, you can solve your current problem. Of course, the doubts you face will increase as your influence grows. Besides this, I have many other plans to help you. If you trust me even a little, call me. I can only give you a week to consider." A few days later, a news report about an overseas student using ketamine will be published. The news was being widely reprinted by major media outlets. Kim Pan-ho asked him, "You're just a student. How did you know about this?" To avoid arousing suspicion, Kim Hyun-sung said, "I heard it from Gao Chong-fan." Kim Tae-ho said, "You have great courage and insight. Tell me, what are your plans next?" "Before that, I have another question for you. Do you intend to run for president? If you have such ambitions, your chances of being elected will be very low because you don't have a touching story that can move people to tears. You were born into an elite family, and you were always admitted to prestigious schools through direct admission. You naturally became a university professor, and now you've become a legislative official. Your life is beyond our wildest imagination, because you have so much that you can't possibly become president." Hearing this, Jin Han-hao became furious. "You want me to give up everything I have now? Knowing your personality, you definitely won't give it up. So leave everything to me. Let me be your kingmaker. First, the Baishin Group will provide you with financial support, and I will help you run for president, crafting a perfect story to make everyone admire you. You will become the political figure who destroys the Golden Circle. When the Golden Circle becomes the target of public criticism, if you can quickly resolve that problem, to become a political heartthrob overnight, you'll handle this whole affair. Even if problems arise, you'll take full responsibility. You only need to provide necessary assistance when I need it. I know you have doubts about me because I'm just a student. I hope you can thoroughly investigate me during this time. You'll discover that I'm not just a student but also the second son of the Baishin Group, the person Gao Chong-fan is desperately searching for, the one who advises him behind the scenes." Back at school, classmates were discussing why Wu Huizhi had suddenly dropped out. Someone said, I saw Wu Hueji being taken to the hospital a few days ago. He was seriously injured and couldn't even walk. He was already walking, yet he forced others to play games for him. From the school's perspective, this was no small matter. Kim Hyun-sung threatened him in a low voice, and when he became the next successor, he was immediately amused. His wife found his small villa for no reason and even beat up his mistress. I only saw Kim Hyun-sung unilaterally beating his classmate. You can find other witnesses to confirm this. When they didn't have the strength to set up, the alarm clock had a 3-minute countdown. In this life, regardless of Chao Zhenyu, he seized the opportunity and kicked him in the chest. He received the protection of the Yum Brands Group, and the police had not yet opened a case for investigation. Moreover, a report had already been submitted to the police. Kim Hyun-sung acted entirely in self-defense. An enraged Jiang Taijun threatened them. Just as he was worrying about what to do next, someone suddenly slapped him from behind. Using the principal and the Baixing Group's methods was despicable. Even his best friend was dragged into the violence. This would mean losing his position. Should he attack someone named Kim Hyun-sung? Don't you dare attack him. Why didn't you remember I'm still a teacher? Kim Hyun-sung retorted. Why should I forgive you? The Golden Circle wouldn't reveal such important information to a despicable person like you. At this moment, he finally believed Kim Hyun-sung's words were true. Shin Youngmyeong indeed dared not resist. Currently, the suspect, the scope has been narrowed down to 4 people. If we encounter him again, we shouldn't let him know we recognized him. Park Myung-chul asked why he did this. We haven't offended you. How could I be bullied like this? Now even you dare to defy me. They'll contact headquarters immediately to control the scene. Go Chong-fan grabbed him. You kid. Don't you understand the situation? What kind of solution are you thinking of? I just think human life is the most important thing. I haven't really thought about what to do next. Recently, the news has reported a lot of shoddy construction projects. Although real estate companies make money, one day our reputation will be restored. Kim Hyun-sung told him to first deal with the victims of this accident. The first category of victims is those who have already bought houses. It is said that the TV station has come to interview them and the head office has also agreed. They are also involved in the project in cooperation with Jinhai. Although it is a bit early, Gao Chongfan bowed deeply and said, I will leave the rest to everyone. I have already made arrangements with the largest heaven on earth in the city. Someone said that he might not be the chairman's illegitimate son. The next second, and then using this as a foundation, he swept through all the surrounding schools. Pei Qinghao said to everyone, you 3rd graders, listen up. However, he really had no other choice. That was a full 5 million. Yao Zhenyu said that this school was nothing special. Chao Zhenyu awkwardly said, don't worry about it. Therefore, he planned to find an opportunity to beat up Jin Xianxing first. You're just a new transfer student. How dare you cause trouble for Hyun-sung? A piece of trash like you. I could knock you down with one punch. Choi Taijun thought head missed. Since that's the case, then let's try another punch. But in the end, he was still no match for Hyun-sung. However, this incident made him hate the school on his very first day. Choi Taijun cursed. Damn it. Why did you hit me? Do you think he can make me lose my job through this? Don't be silly. I didn't even know everyone else was in PE class. Sitting nearby, internal board member Kim Cheol-jung and Oh Hyeji felt very worried. Suddenly, she received a distress text message from Shanya. It turned out that Kim Hyun-sung had taken her to the sports storage room. The last sentence appears to be unrelated and possibly a fragment from another text up besides.